Hell's Paradise.
Hell's Paradise.
This is a show...
What is it called?
Jigokuraku. Which basically is Hell and Paradise fused into one portmanteau. You will see the phrase Hell and Paradise referenced plenty of times throughout this anime.
I do believe this is the first show from this season we watched. Because I was just scrolling through stuff on Mal.
You threw this on randomly, and I think that we basically enjoyed it more than we expected to watch more anime.
Yeah. It seemed the most interesting to me just because the description was basically, a bunch of samurai can't execute this guy. So, watch him try to be executed. And I was like, that sounds fun. Let's see what's going on with that.
Pretty much the whole first half of the first episode of this show is the Japanese government trying really hard to kill this guy, Gabimaru. And then eventually they're going to send him on a quest. This show, I think we both recommend it. We enjoy it. It's hyper-violent. It's a twisting, turning plot.
It's not super organ-y violent, I would say.
It's not
less
like
gory
than
Man.
Chainsaw Man. But
that could change.
It's more shocking, and I would say violence is more the point of this show. It's more of like this is like a show to watch people fucking kill each other, and like it's got kind of a battle royale element to it. There's like a survival game aspect, so it's definitely like a show about a bunch of badasses killing each other.
Martel Mythios says, honest to God, I feel like this show has one of the best first episodes I've ever seen, and I do agree with that. I think it's a lot of fun.
I don't know if I feel that way, but I do think it's really unique. I like the approach they took. My first impression of this show, because it's Studio Mappa once again.
Oh yeah,
and
I like the motorcycles. Every time we watch a new episode of this show, there's motorcycles and it says Mappa on it. I think that's adorable. If someone could explain if that's like a Mappa thing or like the time slot they have, that'd be cool.
They made this show. It looks pretty good. It's not like mind-blowing the way Chainsaw Man is, but it looks very consistent, and maybe just because it's set in the Edo period, which is such a common thing for anime, but like this show could have come out any time in the last 30 years and made just as much sense to me.
Yeah.
If you're like a 90s anime fan coming off of like Ninja Scroll, you could go right from that into this. No problem.
It feels very Hunter x Hunter to me almost.
Yeah, I could see that too. It's somewhere between a lot of different things. It's just a little bit more torqued than most of those things. I would say like this type of anime has become maybe a little bit more commonplace in recent years to be quite so hyperactive and violent as it is. This kind of stuff was maybe more so reserved for OVAs back in the day. But yeah, it's pretty much a violent
You mean OVAs,
frenzy.
right?
No, I don't.
Oh,
so,
okay.
The main character, Gabimaru, he's a bit of an emo. He really is determined...
And he misses his wife. He loves his wife. That's what it comes down to.
No. He does not miss his wife. He doesn't love that bitch. Fuck her. That's where he's at the start of the show. He really is determined not to feel anything. This man is like, I feel nothing. I'm a nihilist. I don't care. But... they can't fucking kill him. You can see in the image I have here, they broke a sword over his neck trying to decapitate this man.
They also tried to boil him in hot oil.
They
do all kinds. Oh, okay.
I have no attachment to life. He keeps insisting.
But he does. It's his wife. He loves his wife.
So there's this woman who's sort of like interviewing him along the way. And she's like, you've only studied assassination techniques since you were a small child. You are literally nothing but a perfect killing machine. And you claim to have no attachments. He says he's not trying to resist after they have boiled him in a big pot. They try to pull him apart with cows tied to ropes tied to his legs.
But they hurt the cows.
Yes, the cows just get knocked out.
Thank you for not... By the way, sorry, just call back to Chainsaw Man. Thank you for not including any screenshots of the cows that Power killed. I don't, but it's just... Power is the worst for doing that. I'm not a fan of her. I know I eat cows and I love them, but I would never just... She wasted so much steak.
It's true. So this is Yui. She's Gabimaru's wife.
Wait, this isn't Kirito's daughter?
She threw him into a frenzy. She threw his whole world into confusion because she told him to say thank you for a meal and take off his shoes when he came into the house.
Doesn't he actually like call her stupid for that?
He says something like, I just couldn't understand her. She was always like, she's just like fucked with my head, man. And like literally the examples he gives are her telling him to take his shoes off and just say thank you after a meal. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
It's just like, hey, have you considered being a regular person instead of just an assassin?
He's like, what the fuck is up with this stupid bitch? I can't believe she's telling me to take my fucking shoes off. But he fell in love with her. I'm going to go ahead and say right off the top, this is not a spoiler because I don't know anything about the manga, but this is my prediction.
I don't either. I haven't spoiled
this
anything.
Bitch is dead. They only ever show her in sad flashbacks. They've never shown her alive in the present. It's the only thing he cares about and is obsessed with, and the show is constantly full of twists and turns. I will be shocked if she is still alive.
You're right. They're kind of.
I will be shocked.
Yeah.
But anyway,
you know what? Just for the fun of it, I'll bet. Just for the fun of it, I'll bet she's alive. I'll bet you $5.
We'll put 5 on it. This guy killed 20 people who were trying to arrest him.
Who did?
Gabimaru.
Oh yeah.
He's just all around a fucking sick assassin, man. They tried to boil him, didn't work. He's just like on fire.
Man's not hot.
Man's not hot. So finally, they've got this woman that's been reporting on him. She's part of the Asaemon.
And they take him into a dungeon.
Sword testing / executioner group.
Apparently, I think they're the Yamada Asaemon or something like that. A real clan. I briefly Googled it. I don't know a lot.
I have this screen cap of him going, "You're an Asaemon and a woman?" Because
that's a whole thing in the show.
Well, and that immediately made me realize that it had to be real, because it's like, okay, this is like some historical thing that like they're making up the idea that there would have ever been a girl version of when there clearly wasn't, which is why he's acting surprised, because, it's to reflect the surprise the audience is going to feel if they even know what this is.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, she's Sagiri. Her blade reflects the truth. If she sees you in her blade, she can see your true nature.
Yeah, this is kind of a silly trope.
And that's why she thinks he's full of shit. Basically, she's like, you constantly protect yourself. The reason you can't die is that you're incredibly well trained and you don't want to die because you have earthly attachments because you like your wife. Fuck you. You're not a cold-blooded monster. He won't stop saying, like, no, I'm emotionless, I'm cold, I'm Shadow the Hedgehog. Apparently his wife has a scar on her face because her dad burned it, so she would stop trying to live like an ordinary woman. Not
Weird.
A great guy, her dad.
What's wrong with wanting to go to the river every now and then?
So, she beats him relatively, I think, in a fight. Basically, they're fighting, and
basically, she proves she can kill him.
And that he gives a fuck about life, and then he's like, "All right, fine, whatever. What do you want from me?" And she's like,
"You can have a pardon.
Dump time. You can get pardoned by the government if you go to this Shinsenkyo, the land of fucking milk and honey."
The Paradise Island.
We found paradise, but it's dangerous, you
have to go there to get the immortal elixir or whatever. And then we get a bunch of flashbacks to the guy that trained Gabimaru, who was like stabbed 50,000.
Well, that's not yet. But what we do find out is that everybody who's gone to this mysterious island they found...
They became flower dudes, man.
Yeah, so the island is full of all these beautiful flowers and all this gorgeous shit, and you can hear singing in the background, so they're like, this must be paradise. But everybody they sing gets turns into flowers and goes crazy and dies, so...
which is unfortunate.
It's not a great place, and they're like, what do we do about this? Because I super want to check it out. Let's send a bunch of criminals in there.
So they get like 100 criminals or something?
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of people. And then they basically go, hey, guess what? We're sending you to this island, but we don't have enough room for all of you. Deal with it.
Somewhat confusing also, at the end of the episode, after he's agreed to help her, he just kind of like kicks everybody in the room's ass with a big fireball, I guess, because he can.
Yeah, they all suck.
Yeah. So the second
we're
episode...
not at the tent. I thought we were at the tent. I saw the tent. I'm sorry.
Second episode starts with a story, and I thought this was actually a pretty interesting little vignette here, but it's a tale of when the girl's
Aren't
father...
you talking about Vignets?
No, when the girl's father was cutting people's heads off. And
oh, right, it's good. I don't love it.
The storyteller got his head cut off, and he finished telling the story because he hadn't even realized his head had been cut off because it was so clean. And so, her dad basically is a legendary executioner.
He's the head of the Yamada clan.
Yeah, and he can always do it to perfection. She can't. She has fear in her heart.
And she's not even expected to.
Yeah.
She's not supposed to be doing this. There's a lot of fun, fan service stuff of a bunch of weird, bloody
hands, her
grabbing her
vision of
naked
being
body.
Grabbed by ghoulies. She basically is like, how the fuck do I get all this fear and doubt out of my heart so that I'll stop being haunted by zombie visions?
Oh, hey, it's the Shogun. He's here.
Yeah, so the Shogun rounds up 100 or so criminals. They've all got their hands bound, face masks on, and he's like, y'all are gonna do stuff for me. There's a scene where they tell all the criminals, you're in front of the Shogun. Most people never even get a chance for this. And they're like,
the criminals just kind of bitch and moan. They're like, fuck you.
Why do you think you're better than us? Yeah.
Oh, hey, it's best-ish girl. She's alright.
Yuzuriha is a ninja, a kunoichi girl with cool purple hair and some really nice rack.
This was mine, and also she's got almost a side vag going on. Her outfit's got cutouts there, so you can almost see her panty shot, but not really. But this was my introduction to what a kunoichi is, which was pretty fun.
Girl ninjas often who use
seduction
and poison, as this one does. So basically this scene, this is a fun bit because you look at this big group of criminals and you're thinking well, a lot of them are going to die right away.
Yeah.
This
is what I was talking about. They just kind of go, hey, we can't accommodate all of you.
Yeah, they're not like, oh, we're going to wait till you get to the island or whatever. Nah.
Who's the best?
Before they even get to that, this guy gets up and tries to leave and immediately gets decapitated by his handler. Every single person has a executioner.
Well, we're not there yet. They're all just kind of all of the same.
I think they're by groups or something. The executioners are all standing around ready to kill these guys if they do anything wrong. Which this guy immediately gets executed by Aizen here.
Aizen sucks.
He sucks. He's sort of a guy who, his main personality is, I don't think the girl should be in here because she's a girl.
Aizen is the glass ceiling, I'll say.
He is the glass ceiling. But yeah, so basically they're like, you guys need to thin out the crowd.
Oh, we're talking about Bakugo now.
Yeah, Aza, who looks like Bakugo, immediately is like, oh, you're trying to have us thin them out, right? Yeah, we love doing that. We love killing people.
So he just killed someone, and then he was like, hey, they didn't react. That's obviously what we're supposed to do. Let's get on with it.
So we get a whole little montage of here's some badasses you can look forward to.
This guy is probably my favorite dude. He's just, he's the best swordsman in all of Japan or something. Yeah. I won't get to his exposition, but he just has a quick temper, and he's really fun.
There's a giant,
big dude.
A massive fellow said to eat bear's head first. This guy is definitely the scariest mans of them all.
Yeah.
As we will get to in future episodes. Basically, Gabimaru's like, hey,
I don't want to kill people.
Yeah, do we have to all murder each other? What's the fucking point? And he pisses off this guy so much that he's like, hey, I will literally send anyone who kills this man. I hate him. Get him out of my sight. And Gabi's like, okay, I guess I'll murder everyone.
And then he just starts ripping people's throats apart, and
he kills everybody with his fingertips
and his hands are bound too. So it's just ridiculous. It's a great scene. The violence in this show is beautiful. Again, not as gory as Chainsaw Man, but it's very well animated.
It's very aesthetic. Every shot individually looks very nice. But yeah, basically she sees in him the resolve to take on the burden of the fear. It's not that he's trying to avoid having the fear. He's just walking with it, and that's what makes him special. And she's like, that's kind of cool. So yeah, so far, when we had gotten to this point, I was thinking this show's pretty entertaining. It's violent. It's edgy. The characters are a little bit fun.
Oh, hey, we're here. We're at the guy.
This episode is where stuff really ramps up and gets fucking crazy.
So this episode starts off with, you didn't get a cap of his parents dying.
No, that's after this shot. Actually.
Oh, okay. So I guess it starts with.
This is just to demonstrate that the village leader, the
it's
father
an ambush
of his
by
wife,
the village trying to kill this guy, and a bunch of people obviously throw a bunch of weapons into him, and then he stabs himself in the head, just to prove that hey, you're not gonna kill me, dumbasses. Nothing's gonna get me. I'm smarter than you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they're on the island, and the girl's like, "Wow, this place is beautiful. Look at all the plants." And he's like, "Actually, this is creepy because there's no rhyme or reason to the fauna. It's all from different places."
How did this happen?
Not right.
Big guy. Not the other big guy.
There's a few characters in this show that just die so quickly I didn't bother recording their names or learning them. This is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up and he's just like, "Hey, fuck you."
I have so many weapons. I'm the best at collecting weapons. Oh, this guy.
This is his monitor, Kisho.
This guy is again from Dr. Stone. It's actually the voice actor too, isn't it? Had I looked that up?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if you looked it up, but you just immediately were like, "That sounds like Gen," and I'm like, "I'm pretty sure that is."
Yeah, I did. I do think I looked it up. But yeah, no, that is Gen.
So yeah, this guy, he had just freed the bonds on his dude. He didn't want to argue about it. He doesn't want to bother. He's just kind of lazy.
He wants to leave. And then Gabimaro fucks him up with every weapon he owns.
Pretty much immediately destroys this guy. I love this shot. Looks gorgeous. And... So
it's the consort.
Then we get this quick montage where basically... So, the purple-haired dude we just met, he, after losing his guy, is like, "Hey, look. Everything's about to get fucking nuts.
In a couple hours, you want to be gone.
In a couple hours, almost everybody's going to be dead. There'll probably only be one of you left. And there's going to be twists and turns. Everybody's trying to fuck each other over. I'm out." He fucks off. But as he's explaining this, so like you see all these people, like this woman is seducing her guy. There's all these people who are like trying to get one over on another guy. This is Aizen immediately eaten by the
big guy wakes up and Aizen just goes, "Oh, are you hungry?"
Yeah. The guy picks him up, eats him.
Can you do the Godzilla theme for me? Bum, 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 bum. No, that's Seven Nation Army.
You're right.
Man,
you were just doing it because of fucking Stuttering John. Anyway, this guy got eaten. He's dead. And so is this old man. I didn't even bother showing his introduction because he's shown for like 3 shots before he gets torn up by.
Yeah, he was like the Killing Prayer or something was his title.
The woman is immediately slain. I do like.
Yeah, because she tried to seduce a guy who that guy was a Chad. He was not going to be seduced by no woman.
Very cool.
He has too cool of a sword.
Yeah,
look, it's Gabimaru. That's the look of murder.
After hearing all that shit, he's like, "You know what? You're in my way, bitch. I'm gonna just kill you off." But they have a big fight, and they kind of neither one of them wants to kill each other because they both sense that each other is kind of good.
They both have a change of heart, really.
Yeah, this is when we learn that Gabimaru's parents were slain because they tried to flee the village with him when he was a baby.
And then they had a kid, which was Gabimaru, and they asked, "Hey, can we get out of here?" And then the guy who can't be killed them.
He was like, "Nope." He's like, "I don't have emotions. I'm so dark. I'm gonna kill you."
Gabimaru is Gabimaru the Hollow, so he's he's a Dark Souls character.
So hollow. But then. So
the soul of the guy who can't be killed that trained him evaporates, and his wife takes over to guide him.
He's got the apparition of the old man like guiding his blade as he's getting ready to murder the girl, but then the apparition of his wife casts that one aside and guides him not to stab. So then we meet...
Fuchi's the blonde one, right?
Yeah, Fuchi is this little blonde guy who's
These are both cool characters.
The swordsman guy who got stung by a bee with a human face.
It was a butterfly.
A butterfly with a human face, and immediately cut his own hand off. Which is the right thing to do, apparently.
Because he didn't end up becoming a flower dude.
Yeah. And then a bunch of big fucking weird monsters show up at the very end.
Fish guy.
So this episode was just nuts. It's like half the cast that was just introduced gets killed immediately. A bunch of monsters show up. It's just totally unpredictable at this point, and I was like, damn, this is where I started getting hype. This show.
Where do we go from here?
Episode 4, it starts with the swordsman guy. He's the dragon swordman. Apparently he met a guy who called himself a dragon, and that guy was like, you probably couldn't even kill a real dragon.
Yeah, so he was employed by a guy who had a lot of money that he met while drinking. The guy said you couldn't kill a real dragon, and so he cut the guy's house entirely in half.
Yeah, because there's a dragon, seal on the front of it. So he was like, fuck your dragon. You think I can't kill a dragon?
And so then he was a wanted criminal.
And his plan when he gets out is to go back and do it again.
Which is why he's my favorite character. This guy's also really cool. So he's the Asaemon. They're not just executioners. They're also blade testers and medicine testers.
Dissectors.
He's a medicine tester. So he is specifically an autopsy person. He dissects people to advance medical science, and he's got swords and blades and stuff to prove it.
He says it's a noble purpose, but you can clearly see in his face that he just likes doing it.
He looks like a frog.
And he compares this whole mission on the island to crafting insect poison, when you just put a bunch of poisonous insects in a jar and
then if that doesn't work, you send more poisonous insects, and then if that doesn't work, you send more poisonous poison. I should say.
I got a screen cap of just one of these fucked up monsters. It's like an Attack on Titan, but where hands are coming out of its eyeballs and its tongue is infinitely long and it's got a spear through its neck.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying.
It's a fucking weird one. Then he of course is destroyed by Gabimaru using big fire.
He has flame powers, which is pretty neat.
Good. So basically Gabi tears through all these big monsters, and then Kunoichi shows up with 2 of the guides as her chump squad.
One of which who was her guide, and the other one who...
the other one is Genji, who was guiding this guy Makia until he was fooled by this woman and
into
killed.
dying.
We'll learn how very, very momentarily.
Hey, Senta.
Yeah, Senta's her guy.
This is actually really... So,
it's just a chump.
Genji gets this whole introduction scene where he explains himself and has a whole thing, and then Senta starts to explain himself, and then she just cuts him right off right as soon as he says his name. It's great.
But yeah... Gabi correctly cannot trust Kunoichi. Keeps putting her in an arm bar over and over again.
Anytime she hugs him, anytime any sign of affection.
She gets too close. It's pretty funny. But yeah, she found out through the guy that she experimented on about how all the plants and bugs work. She's got all the data, so she's like, hey, we'll share data, you keep us alive, this could work out for everybody, please don't kill me just because I'm a Kunoichi. I endured hellish training.
She even makes up a story. No, this story was mostly made up.
It seemed you can kind of tell from the art style that it seems like she's full of shit.
Gabimaru even calls her out on it.
That's really funny.
And she admits it. It's like, what motive do I need to have other than wanting to be alive?
Right. I like this line where, so the one blonde dude, I think his name was Asa or something like that. He's got a brother that he's very protective of, that they grew up together, that I guess infiltrated the Asaemon clan and is secretly working with him. Now the 2 of them are on the island. They're grouped up. They're linked. They're ready to go. But as they put
they're not going to give the immortality serum to the shogunate. They're going to drink it for themselves.
Yes, as he puts it, some situations can be difficult to understand. Understanding your situation is what's most important.
Toma.
These 2. Basically, their whole thing is, in particular, Asa is change. You have to be able to constantly change and constantly expect change. It's the only way to stay alive. So they're all about this whole change mantra and adapting to situations. That's what makes them strong. I screen capped this kid Toma saying, "Are we not in heaven, but in hell instead?" Because this happens
what if it's
5
hell's
fucking
paradise?
times. Seriously, there are so many characters who say something to the effect of, "Could it be that this is hell?" Yeah, we get it. Anyway, he kills all these guys and screams, "I am my own king, I am my own god."
Because he is the bandit king.
Yeah.
Do we get his backstory after this, or...?
More or less, it was interspersed in there. Just him and his brother growing up.
So basically, him and his brother grow up. They were the sons of a samurai who ended up going rogue, and then they ended up having to be bandits. And so Asa, Bakugo, starts his own little bandit clan, and he's the bandit king in the mountain. And then it goes south, and now he has a big axe.
Well, as he puts it, not even death will be able to tell us how to live once we have the elixir of life. Just thought that was a fun line.
That is a good line.
Moving on to episode 5, and some of you might not have seen this one yet.
Because it just came out today. Well, yesterday.
Spoilers. Anyways. This one's a lot slower than the last two. Are
you ready for the characters to feel bad about themselves?
Yeah, it's a lot more emotional and kind of going over a lot of information again that I didn't think was necessary. I mean, episodes 3 and 4 were fucking breakneck pacing, and I really enjoyed that, and I won't say I was let down, but episode 5 just didn't have that crazy energy.
Someone is saying that we missed the giant eating that one guy.
No, we got that. We got him eating the red-haired dude. Anyway.
And if you liked the giant eating that one guy, just wait until the end of this episode.
At the end of the last episode, the girl was knocked unconscious by poison butterfly scales, and then
which seems like, shouldn't she have flowers growing out of her or something? What does that mean?
I don't know. She's awake now, though, so what was the point? I don't think anything particularly happened she needed to be asleep for dramatically. But she wakes up again, and hey, everybody's making dinner. They're basically playing house in the woods. This is by far the most laid-back scene in the show so far. Kind of makes you feel like, oh god, they're all gonna die. That's the feeling I had when I saw this.
I think Genji's probably gonna die, but Glasses guy is probably gonna be fine.
Genji literally dies in this episode, so yes, you're correct. Anyway, Gabimaru claims that this is the first job that he has ever heard of the elixir of life, but we see him thinking about the old guy who couldn't die, and of course he himself cannot die.
Well, he can die. He hasn't had the elixir of life. He's just really strong.
Fucking hard to kill.
He's almost death proof.
So there's all these weird statues on the island, and we get a shot where 2 of them appear to be fucking.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Weird.
Well, I didn't
really
catch
funny.
that. Huh.
Yeah.
This show rocks.
There's a part where they kind of try to describe the monsters on the island. I thought it was fun because the guy ends up describing it kind of poetically, where he says they're like too unnatural to be real, but like too realistic to be fake or something like that.
It's the girl that's describing it at this point.
Okay.
So yeah, she's describing how cutting through them, it feels like there should be organs and everything, but nothing comes out. It's just blood. And they're too unnatural to be real. But
they're like malformed gods.
Malformed gods. Hey, best girl.
Yeah, well, I'll say. So yeah, this is where we meet our next 2 characters. This girl was briefly shown like in an earlier episode, didn't like say anything, but she's with a guy who's like this blonde nice dude who's like, of all the criminals participating, you deserve to live the most.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, we don't need to do this. You should be fine. I don't want to kill you. Apparently her village was considered insurrectionist, and they were pretty much like wiped out,
and she has a memory of her grandpa telling her like, if you die, our whole clan dies. The Sanka, I think it's the Sanka clan dies.
So she's wondering, should I live so that the village's bloodline doesn't end, or die because I don't know. She seems to blame herself for the deaths. I wasn't really clear why. But anyways, they find a purple hair boy who had tried to leave the island in the previous episode.
Gen. They found Gen.
The voice of Gen. He has died. Not surprising.
Yeah.
I was like, if we ever see that guy again, he will be dead for sure. So, but yeah, they find him all fucked up, and then
hey, it's Blonde Guy. So his name's Tenza. He's a Naruto character, as you can tell from his headband.
So Tenza's trying to protect the other girl, and she's like, just let me fucking die. I deserve this.
She blamed herself because she brought the samurai to her village, apparently.
Okay. She blames herself, and he's like, I don't get it. I don't know why you seem like you don't seem like you want to die, so why don't you try not, and let's get out of this.
Have you considered not killing yourself?
But this guy's main personality trait is that he's, by his own description, an idiot. He doesn't understand.
I mean, he's a Naruto stan.
He a Naruto stan because of the headband. Yeah. Basically, every time she says something like even remotely intelligent, he's like, "That's above my head. Could you make that stupider for me?" But he really admires
Wait a
her
second,
intellect.
I do that.
This is
and
where
then,
realizes,
hey, whoa, it's a girl. You're a girlish form person.
Oh. So this is really cute. Basically, he's so embarrassed. She doesn't. She's like, ugh. Like,
we're literally about to die.
Yeah, like, who gives a
fucking
fuck?
around with me?
So she's like, you know what? I've been impressed with your chivalry. Once we make it back to safety, let's get married.
Because she wants to continue that Sanka clan.
Yeah. I think she's saying.
I think they're gonna live.
But it's really funny because he doesn't really get it. Like, this doesn't work. It doesn't convince him to be less flustered with seeing her naked.
That's funny. I hope they live.
Genji makes the worst mistake you can make in this show.
Being mean to a woman?
Chauvinists die very hard in this show.
Yeah.
Second guy to say you shouldn't do this because you're a woman, and let's see what...
he just got his guts ripped out by the big man. And that's how the episode ends, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah, that was that. That was
I like that you... Oh, okay. Right. May I use the restroom?
Yeah, well, first let's just give our summarize our thoughts on this. Unexpectedly fun. We had literally no expectations going in. You just threw this on. We didn't know what it was.
I was so excited. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this might be the thing I was talking about that potentially surpasses K for me.
You were thinking of Trigun Stampede.
Oh, you're right. You are right. Trigun Stampede rocks. Or it comes? I think it comes.
This anime, going in with no expectations... I was entertained. I liked all the execution stuff in the first episode. I liked that it got so violent in episode 2. I liked that it got crazy in episode 3. 4 and 5, they started to establish some characters who maybe you might care about, maybe get to do something more than just die very quickly.
Yeah.
It's edgy as shit,
So, I'm glad they trimmed the fat real quick. Yeah. There's still a little bit of fat to be trimmed, I think, but I think we're about to narrow it down to, like, the 5 to 10 characters we're going to be sticking around with for a while. And I'm excited to see who that is. I want to see, like, real power usage.
Yeah. This show it's got the highest just raw entertainment factor of, like, everyone looks really cool, the setting looks really cool, the violence looks cool, these cool attacks, like, every time somebody dies, it's like a crazy full illustration. Yeah, it reminds me of Ninja Scroll. It's not as, like, beautiful or well made as that, but it's more of an ongoing entertaining show. Anything that I like about other battle royales, stories that are just about people trapped on an island killing each other, this does all of it quite well. So
we got to see the new Hunger Games movie, by the way.
What is your trajectory score for this show?
So far, it's like an 8, and that was just because this episode was a little slow.
I would say for me, it definitely wavers between a 7 and an 8.
Yeah.
At its best, it's like an 8. At its worst, it's like a 7, which is a good place to be.
I want it to go to a 10 or a 9 or a 10.
If it really gets insane, I mean, it's already been pretty crazy. I don't know what the ceiling is on the.
I would say worst case scenario, it becomes a 5.
Been in that episode. Now it's time to talk about Hell's Paradise.
Oh yeah.
This is definitely the hypey anime of the season.
This is what Mashal took over.
Okay.
Mashal and Hell's Paradise are like head and head for what I'm most excited about this season.
Interesting. I like Hell's Paradise a lot. I don't really have any kind of expectation for it because I know it's just trying to, like, constantly fuck with you, and so...
This episode got me a lot more than the last one. The last one was kind of a nothing burger. Nothing really happened. It wasn't enjoyable.
This was a lot more fun.
And this one was, hey, stuff's happening. We're progressing. Yeah. Let's do it.
Well, it had big shonen fight. So we learned the backstory of the giant man who's been eating people this whole show.
Roku Rota.
And apparently ever since he was a baby, he just could not stop eating.
He couldn't stop eating, he couldn't stop playing, he started eating everyone that was around him.
Yeah, he kills his parents, he eats his parents, he just kills and eats everybody. He is a monster.
Which, I'll be honest, beef has to taste a lot better than human. Why don't you just go kill a cow or something? I mean, I don't
eat bears head first also, remember.
Well, yeah, but that's not the best part of the bear to eat. Are you fucking kidding me?
So this is a shot where trees have just been felled because he just rips a tree out of the ground and throws it at Gabimaru.
Which is,
knocking all the trees over.
Right before this, Gabimaru is saying, well, I need to gauge how strong he is.
Yeah, how strong am I compared to him? The answer is not nearly as strong.
Before he threw the tree, I was just thinking, you just saw him tear the guts out of an Asaemon, and then beat the shit out of both you and the other Asaemon.
Yeah.
How strong do you think he is? How do you not have a concept of it at all?
Well, yeah, so the guy throws a tree at him, and meanwhile, the girl is still talking to Genji. I don't know why I remembered his name and not hers. I guess just because it's Genji.
Sagiri.
Sagiri. He's basically dying, and she's like, there's got to be something we can do. And he's like, no, I'm pretty much gone for. Also...
But because you're a woman...
Well, we'll get to that. Kunoichi here is on the sideline.
Oh, we're not there yet, actually. This happens later.
They're intercut. I did the screen caps. They're in order. I have him saying the other line.
I did the remembering.
The Kunoichi girl is asked by Gabimaru. He's like, please come help me. Please come do something. And she's like...
We agreed to fight together. And she goes, I'm holding up my side of the agreement.
Yeah.
To collect information.
Right.
And it's like, you fucking word I can't say.
You bitch.
Yeah, I can say that one. I was trying to say a C word.
She just kind of ignores him. So this scene is it's a little strange. Basically, so, Genji had been saying that you can't do this because you're a woman. But then she
just a second ago, you'd been blabbering like a man. But now I feel the affection of a woman.
Yes, so, realizing...
As I'm dying.
As he realizes that she does have, a feminine side or feminine traits, even though she's normally acting masculine. It makes him realize that she's not trying to be a man or a woman. She's trying to take the middle path, in which she accepts all contradictions and goes forward, with both realities in her heart. On like a schizophrenic level, I understand all of this, but on any kind of logic or meaning, it's a little bit lacking. All of it's just to say that she's a badass. She's not just a woman, but she's also not a woman. She is the middle path. What does this mean? I don't know. This man has a lot of thoughts about gender politics in his dying moments.
Every single Asaemon has a lot of thoughts about gender politics, even not in their dying moments.
It's true. So yeah, her finding the middle path basically means being like water, like Bruce Lee said, and whereas Gabimaru's all aflame, she's all...
Whoa, they're opposites.
She's all wet.
What if they end up together?
But yeah, actually, this episode does kind of establish her as being at least as badass as Gabimaru, if not more so, because he's kind of getting trashed, and then she fucking totally deflects a fist with a blade and does all this
The
cool
Kunoichi
shit.
and the other Asaemon are watching them this whole time, and the Kunoichi asks the nerdy Asaemon, well, how strong actually is she? And the other Asaemon goes, well, the ranking of Asaemons is basically based on who's going to lead the clan next. And so because she's a woman, she naturally loses a lot of rank. But she's actually super strong.
Yeah.
And so she starts deflecting Kurobota's blows and stuff.
There's also an odd line there where that guy says something about helping Genji, and she says, we're not doing that. He's a goner. And besides, you're not that type of guy, are you?
Yeah, that was weird.
Was she calling him gay?
I don't know what she was doing there.
I couldn't
That
tell
was
what
strange.
that was about. That was an odd line. Anyways, the way that they end up beating the giant...
They set the entire area surrounding them on fire because he's so tall.
They can't cut through his limbs. They're trying to get him to kneel down so that she can do a proper decapitation. They can't make it happen. He goes into a blind fury because he gets so hungry and like is beating Gabimaru's ass. And then finally he's like, let's just set everything on fire. And since this dumbass is just going to rampage and cry around, he'll breathe in so much carbon monoxide that it will bring him to his knees.
And I've got to say...
And we'll be able to chop his head off, and that's what happens.
Did he really know what carbon monoxide was?
I mean, he knows you can't breathe the stuff that comes out of fire.
Sure.
Yeah, they do use the terminology that's very modern.
I don't know.
So then we cut back to the brothers who have been making easy work of killing giants, but the older brother is drinking their blood.
Well, you know, that's what you do in the mountains. It's how you stay hydrated.
Yeah, you just drink animal blood or whatever. This can't go well. This has to lead to some kind of bad consequence for this guy. Or good consequence, who knows? It certainly is going to have some kind of effect, I would say. And that's pretty much that episode. It's mostly Gabimaru and Sagiri? I forget.
I think you're right.
Fighting the big guy. It was fun. Big shonen battle. You know, cool moments here and there. I like that they beat him with fire and everything. Yeah, still a fun show. I would give it still like a strong 7. We only have one left.
I know. This is empty. I'd like to sip on some drink.
Yeah, go for it.
I would give this show a 7. I was iffy about it last week, but it redeemed itself this week. 7 projected, 8 to a 5.
Yeah, I really hope it becomes an 8 and not a 5. But it has...
I hope it goes further than that.
Obviously, every show has the potential to turn into a total clusterfuck and go to hell. We just hope it doesn't happen. There's some shows where it really seems like it will happen. This isn't one of them. I think this is going to stay pretty action-oriented, probably, and not really try to have, like, some crazy mind-bending... I mean, the plot is... You know, it's full of twists and turns, but it's not trying to, like, psychologically fuck with you or anything the way that I think Oshido Ko is trying to do. And I definitely enjoy this show more than that one. It's been pretty consistently entertaining. I don't know if it's... I still think probably Skip and Loafer is my favorite of the season, but I also think I remember more of this show. Like, more of the crazy shit that happened in this show sticks out in my mind than what's gone on in Skip and Loafer, and part of that is just this is like fucking violent mania, whereas that's just like a cute slice of life show. But they are probably the two shows that have had the most impact on me so far. Heavenly Delusion, again, like that could be the number 1 even, just all depends on where it goes. It's too in the dark for me to really have a safe bet. It's a lot better than fucking Shinsekai Yori, which it reminds me of in a lot of ways. I guess my favorite one we talked about today was probably Heavenly Delusion. I like Mashal, but I'm not nearly as excited about it as Bird seems to be. I'm hopeful for it. I just think it's going to take a while before it starts really being interesting. Unless it, like, cracks into an arc real soon or something. I know it's usually, like, with Shonen Jump, at some point the editor usually, like, mandates that they introduce a central villain and, like, get an arc going, you know? Because you can't just do episodic plots forever. Especially with an action, plot-driven series. Alright, it's time for us to wrap this all up and talk about the last show.
It's the final anime. Oh, we're back to Hell's Paradise.
Yep. So, last week, I don't remember if I screen capped this happening at the end of the previous episode, but they showed
last
it again.
week we ended on the Bandit Cave King and his brother finding some hot girls making out in the forest.
Yeah, just some fucking Yuri lesbian action going on. I love it. I was immediately like, hello, let's get in on this action.
And so that's where we pick back up, and The pink-haired girl goes, "Hey, you want to come over here and fool around for a while?" And the blonde-haired girl goes, "Come on, don't be like that." And then she turns into a he and starts. They fight.
They get upset that these guys are here spoiling their mood. So the one girl transforms into man mode and is like, "I'm gonna beat your ass," and you're like, "Holy shit!" They are gender fluid.
And then there's
Groot
a tree.
shows up. So yeah, with our main characters group, they see this little pink haired girl and oh god, what's the name? Maru? Something Maru?
Gabimaru.
Gabimaru. He sees the little girl running away, and he's like chasing after her, like, this girl might have information. She could be our only lead.
And he basically says, "Hey, everyone else, fight the tree guy." But
yeah. He gets attacked by Groot, and he's just like, fuck that, I'm gonna follow the little girl, and he leaves Groot to the ninja, and she
drinks something, takes the nerdy guy's glasses, and says, "I can't tip my hand to you," and then starts like secreting moisture.
She's just like gooing.
Yeah.
Her skin is secreting a jizz-like goo. That I don't know. I like it. I like
it.
Goo.
Looks cool.
I like goo.
Goo.
I don't know what she did with it. Ultimately, it cuts away.
We don't know yet.
She defeated Tree Man somehow, but we don't know how yet. Also, little girl has like some kind of magic strength ability that she can fend off Gabimaru.
She punches Gabimaru, and I think there's like a shockwave, like there was with Mashle last time.
He gets knocked back.
But basically, he just takes up a bunch of tree roots and ties her up in the trees, and she immediately starts crying.
I thought this was cute. This episode is going to tread a very fine line of how anime is the treatment of this lolly going to be. Because immediately she gets tied up, but it's not sexual. It's funny. It's cute. She just starts crying. The Sagiri cuts her down and like is like taking care of her, like giving her a hug, kind of giving him the like you're an asshole look for doing that to this child.
And then the tree guy is like, "Please leave her alone.
Please,
don't hurt her.
I beg of you, don't kill me. Let me take her back to the village." And
which is a lot different than I Am Groot. I don't know how this happened.
He learned a lot of words since Guardians 3. He did say like "I love you guys" at the end of that movie, so spoilers.
It's about family.
It's about drive. It's about power. Anyways, the tree man basically bargains with them, like, because Ninja Girl's like, "Why don't we just kill you and let her take us to the village?" And he's like, "We got food," and she's like, "We got plenty of food," and he's like, "We got baths," and she's like, "We're in."
And then she does a little bath song and dance as they're going there.
So
Gabimaru's like, "Fucking, I don't want to take a bath. I'm way too cool for this."
They show up at the village, and it's just like a ghost town surrounded by mist, and Tree Man says, "Until 1,000 years ago, it wasn't like this," implying that they have been here for 8,000 years.
We learn they're immortal, but they're taking a bath first.
Yes, so
we
get
get Sagiri comes in because I forget the other guy's name. Doesn't want to be around naked.
Yeah,
ladies.
Gabimaru doesn't. Well, he just doesn't want to relax.
Well, not Gabimaru, the other Asaemon.
Oh, okay, yeah, fat boy. Yeah, he's just he's a bit too shy. And then Gabimaru's like, "We shouldn't be doing this, but whatever. I guess I'm roped into it." And they're
we
like,
shouldn't be doing this, stepsister.
Ninja Girl's like, "You're so rigid. Even Sagiri's getting in. We got to take this opportunity." And
Sagiri's like, "I'm not here to relax. I'm just here to keep an eye on you." And then she gets in the bath and is immediately
melts. Remembers that she is a bath slut. This is my favorite character trait of her so far, because she's always been high-strung and a hard ass, and like this whole episode is basically just all the characters letting their guard down, which is really good. I think like as a story beat, even though nothing like crazy memorable happens in this episode, it's important for like there being any breathing room in this story. It's pretty much just been manic violence for like 6 straight episodes. So this is where all the characters get to sort of settle down, show a more realistic side of themselves, and like have feelings and like purpose and a sense of justice. Most of which is brought about by just, hey, throw a little girl in there. You'll see everybody bring out either the best or worst in themselves if you throw a little girl in there. So they're relaxing at the bath. Meanwhile, Groot starts explaining to them about these. I don't remember what they're called.
He explains about the island. First, I think they're called Tensins.
The Tensens are the angel people,
but so
right?
the island is split up into 3 separate quadrants. There's the forest, there's the village with all the mist and everything, and then there's where the elixir of life in the center is. He explains that there's there's the gods and the monsters, the big scary dudes that we've seen them kick the shit out of. But then there's also the Tensen, and they're scary because they can't die. And then it cuts to the brothers fighting.
They're immortal, perfect beings is how they are described, which I like that the ability to go back and forth between genders is considered a part of a immortal, perfect being's a makeup. But yeah. So they beat the shit out of the brothers, the cave brothers, and
throw them in a pit.
Throw them into a pit that is full of flower corpses. This looks so cool.
It's a great shot. We learn that the elixir of life is referred to, it's Tan or Han, one of the two. And this pit is what actually fuels the elixir of life. All of these people in the flower pit. But yeah, they're released from their sin and worldliness to achieve eternal bliss.
I gotta say, in a season, in an anime industry where gorgeous background art is rarer and rarer, this show really brought it this season.
Oh, Groot also explains that this island is like the home of the gods for real, for real.
So there's a part where Gabimaru's like, well, then what's the deal with the little girl? Is she one of them too? And he points his sword at her, and Sagiri's like,
crying.
Hey, don't point blades at people. And he's like,
huh? That's a weird thing?
The other girl's like, yeah, you fucking monster. And he's like, I literally have never considered the possibility that it might be upsetting to point a blade at somebody. I like this because it reinforces the wife has been presented as this soft woman who sort of told him to be in any way normal, and he thought she was unreasonable. But these are two women that he actually respects because they're warriors that he's fought alongside, and even they are telling him hey, you're being a bit of a weirdo. And so he kind of takes it more seriously. He's like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize. So I thought that was fun. Then there's also a scene where they're walking along. I don't remember what he says to her to get this reaction, but she's like, you're so stubborn. And I just like that the show treats this character as he is an edgelord and a weird brat. It's all done with self-awareness. It's not we're not supposed to think that he's the coolest guy ever because he thinks he has no emotions. We're supposed to think he's the coolest guy ever because he totally does have emotions.
And he's the coolest guy ever because he has cool firepower.
His whole act is what makes him an obnoxious douche that that Sagiri
he's just oblivious.
Has some issues with. So this is a scene that I didn't know how to feel about, because in the first bath scene, when the two women are in the bath, the little girl shows up fully clothed and brings them.
And you were like,
tea.
It's not going to be that kind of show.
I was like, wow, they're not going to sexualize the lolly or put her in the bath. Bakuraptor's gonna totally approve. Bakuraptor, this is his type of show. He really likes a Kamega kill. He likes these sort of violent, ridiculous things, but he hates Lolicon. Sure. And so I was
so they walk into the bathhouse and immediately naked Lolly.
The Lolly is in there. And granted, it's not presented in a very sexual way, but Gabimaru's reaction is to immediately begin undressing. Yeah. And they're like,
red flag.
Both women are like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, in my village, everyone just shared the same bath regardless of age and gender, which sounds very reasonable. That's probably how it would be in ancient Japan, especially in a poor village or whatever. But basically the little girl's afraid, and Sagiri realizes that there's all kinds of stuff
hair products and beauty products,
all kinds of things you can use to take care of yourself in this bath,
but this girl's never been taught.
She doesn't have a family, nobody's there, so she gives her she puts a bathing outfit on her, which
an Oda style bathing
did
experience.
A lot to make this scene feel more sincere.
It was really cute,
not sexual and adorable.
She washes the little girl's hair and then I think even does her makeup.
It's a very motherly approach. She's really trying to take care of this little girl.
And then we cut to a flashback with the wife.
Yeah, so Gabimaru, the real reason that he didn't like baths even when his wife used to bathe him, because he's like, it makes my guard go down. It literally relieves my anxiety, which I need in order to do my job. And she's like, you are too high strung.
How do you consider being a normal guy?
Yeah, like she basically says, like, if you don't get any rest, you won't be ready for the real battle in life when it comes.
And he goes, "What? Are we expecting a big job or something?" And she goes, "No, life."
Yeah, and she tells him, "You are the general. I'm the strategist. You let me figure out your life for you."
He's Washington. She's Hamilton.
If they were fucking.
Well,
yeah, you know. So this is a really, really cute moment, and probably the moment that really sells him as somewhat of a heroic character.
the little girl has a really big scar that Sagiri says, "I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it." And Gabimaru says, "Hey, look, I know a woman with a large scar, but there's no one more beautiful than her."
Yeah, he's really insistent, like, don't be... Because the little girl, like, the whole reason that she's being nervous around them at all is that she doesn't want them to see the scar on her body. And he's like, literally the most beautiful woman in the world has this big scar on her face.
And Sagiri's like
Very
taken
cute.
aback by this.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh my god,
You're
just
a good
said
person?
the nicest thing I've ever heard you say." Little girl's like, you know, she admires him and everything. Yeah, it's a cute moment. We don't know the fate of the brothers yet. We don't know what's going to come next, but this was just a nice little low-key...
we did see them in the pit. Blonde guy started getting absorbed by vines, but then his brother saved him, and they're just kind of hanging out down there.
Yeah, we don't know exactly if they're going to live or not.
Maybe he's going to chainsaw man it and just hurt all the plants.
I was surprised how much I enjoyed this episode, because throughout this show up to this point, a lot of the sort of down moments where they're just talking about emotions have kind of glided over my brain, where like I get the gist of what's going on. It's like, okay, I get what Sagiri's feeling emotionally, but all of the words she's using to describe it I don't really care about, you know? So it's mostly been about the action for me with this show. This was the first time there was a down moment where I felt like the characters were enriched to a point where I will actually care if they die, you know, in like a sad or dramatic way. And, you know, it feels like these characters have the legs to go the distance.
Oh, yeah.
Know?
They're all fast as fuck, boy.
I'm sure the next episode will get right back into the crazy violence.
They're probably going to encounter the Tensen.
And we still saw some fun, crazy stuff, you know, with the Tensen. Like, at one point, it's like, it just cuts to it, like, having been carved through the chest and then, like, just growing it all back. But yeah, so that's Jigokuraku. Next up is Jigokuraku. This was kind of a mid-episode of this show.
We didn't even see Gabimaru at all.
No, yeah, none of the fucking main characters are in this episode of Jigokuraku.
Alright, so I'm going to go quickly through this one because I didn't love it. So this time we're with the blonde guy and the kind of like tribal beastie little girl.
Yeah.
They're fighting...
Islander, we'll say.
They're fighting one of the like godlike creatures who looks like this when they have been somewhat dismembered. And they're just they're curious, like, hey, did you kill all these things?
Are they people? Are they plants?
They're people plants.
A lot of this episode is just kind of like a fight. It's pretty straightforward. They're trying to kill this thing and it's impossible.
We learned that blonde guy has really fast sword technique.
I don't know. I think this episode was difficult for me just because the last episode already pretty much established that these things are like invincible.
Indestructible, yeah.
Yeah, like regular human strength, regular badass. Like, I don't know, King of the Mountain guy was pretty badass. He lost.
He's still alive. He might be okay.
That's true. We haven't seen him die explicitly, but like, and that also could be true of Blonde Man here. This episode is just a little frustrating structurally because the first few minutes, they're fighting this plant demon along with Blind Man.
Blind Man is Blonde Man's master and trained him to be cool. So yeah, he's rank 4. This guy's pretty alright. I enjoy him. He threatens to kill the short prisoner, the island girl, and he also threatens to kill the blonde guy. But ultimately, they decide to work together.
Also, he did kill that woman who was trying to
prostitute
seduce.
woman.
Yes. He was the guy, because we couldn't remember if he had been shown before at first.
Yeah.
But he was the guy who was with the girl who was, the slut, I guess. And
a courtesan.
in this scene, we were really, like, debating back and forth, is is this guy gonna live?
Yeah, it was very unclear. It was like one of them has to die, right?
A lot of these Asaimon are squishy, and as soon as they express some kind of like belief that, I don't know, the manga author wouldn't like, they just die. Especially, like, we've seen plenty of you're a woman, you shouldn't fight.
Though I will say this time that isn't really true. Blonde guy didn't really say anything bad, and he gets fucked. Like, he just gets destroyed.
That's true, but we don't know if he's dead yet.
That is true.
But we were debating back and forth, like, because when Silverman was trying to attack Islander Girl, because he's like, she's a criminal, you're committing some kind of problem by protecting her.
Blonde guy was like, you took a chance on me, I'm gonna take a chance on her.
And Silver-haired buys into it. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'll help you guys. And we're like, all right, maybe he'll live.
4 holes to the chest immediately.
So, we were frustrated in the last episode. I talked about how Evangelion episode 2 did this cool dramatic thing with its pacing, and how Dead Mount Deathplay never cut back to the action to explain what was going on. This show does cut back to the action, but it's very frustrating because look at this. He's just dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's dead.
He shot through the heart, and also the lungs, and also the windpipe, and also the stomach, and probably the kidney, and some liver.
And this is right after the other guy, like, had his throat slit. Like, they're both dead.
But the other guy's fine. He ties himself up real quick.
We don't know. Like, this scene presents it like,
this
bam,
episode is very unfulfilling.
evil monster kills both of the cool guys we just met. You were pissed. You were like...
We got, like... Well, it's mostly because we got, like, 15 minutes of them... Or maybe we're about to get that. We get, like, 15 minutes of them just, like, having a master-student relationship and eventually being bros.
That's what was so
and
aggravating.
It's like, these guys are really about to die right now?
I guess I didn't take that many screenshots, but... Yeah, so... It's only like maybe 13, 14 minutes into the episode, that they both get stabbed. It looks like they're dead. And then there's like a solid 8 or 9 minutes of just backstory. And the whole time you're going, are they fucking dead or not? Like, why are you telling me so much about these characters? I can't tell if they're dead. And I don't know if I can trust the show to think that there's going to be like a satisfying payoff to this, because like characters just kind of die in this show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't tell what it was going for, and it was frustrating for a while because it does a lot of backstory, and like it gets to a point where I'm kind of thinking, well, they can't be dead. Like, there's no reason to tell us this much about characters we just watched die.
I think blonde guy's gonna get given the immortality juice.
I think it's possible. I mean, so basically the whole backstory is that the blonde dude grew up like training under Silver-Haired Man, and originally he didn't give a fuck. He was like, I don't want to be a samurai, I don't care about any of this. But he was so frustrated by wanting to get one hit off on Silver that by the time he got good enough to actually do that, he respected him and asked to be his pupil. It takes a lot of time for this to play out, and it's fine. Traditional samurai story, I get it. It's not very unique, but it's fine. I just wouldn't care if I thought both characters were already dead.
Which I do.
And at the end of the episode, basically Blondie sacrifices himself so that Silver-Haired Girl can run away. He can save her and escape. She's upset about it. They're both upset. They're like, we want to save him, but we can't. Plant Monster kind of murders him, but it doesn't do like a big send-off. There's not like I'm going to cut him into a billion pieces, which I thought might happen.
Yeah. But
Instead, the episode like ends with his corpse is on the ground and there's like a flower petal falling on his ninja headband, and you think, he's not dead enough. Not enough for my standards. Not quite dead. But that was a whole episode. Literally, no other characters showed up in this except for Blonde, Silver, and Islander girl, so. Yeah. Next
Yeah.
up is Hell's Paradise. This was probably both of our favorite episode of this week.
This show continues to be, I mean, it's pretty much tied with Mashal for my favorite. Mashal was not awesome this week, as it usually is.
It was really setting up. Mashal has a tendency to have, like...
Setup,
yeah,
payoff. Setup,
exactly.
payoff. Setup, payoff.
And the setup sometimes, like...
Which is a lot better than
drags.
Oshinoko, which is setup, payoff, wait, we have a fun episode where we're not doing anything. Set up, payoff, wait, we have a fun episode where we're not doing anything. And I could just do completely without the wait, we're not doing anything, we're just having fun.
Luckily, we don't have to watch that show this week. And Hell's
Visal
Paradise,
was in the last episode. It was used as a way to protect himself.
Somehow I knew it was going to be more than it was going to be at least an episode ago. I knew it was going to be like that. Heavenly Delusion. All right. Anyway,
I'm gonna have to read this fucking manga because I'm getting. I really don't like when shows do not tell you things.
Yeah.
And we're what 10 episodes in now.
Yeah.
And they really haven't told us
I'm
much.
assuming the show is not going to end in one season, right? It can't be like how long is the manga?
I think so. I don't. It's not done. I don't think.
Oh, really? It's not done?
I don't think
so.
so.
Well, the anime is definitely not going to finish. I didn't realize it wasn't even over.
Let me double check.
All right, we're not talking about Heavenly Delusion. We're talking about Hell's Paradise. This episode there was no show last week. And the week before that, there was no Gabimaru, the main character, or
anyone else.
It was just the backstory of two guys, one of whom died, and the other of whom is now running around with a slit throat and a little girl, who is a badass, granted. This one starts off back where our...
Sorry, real quick. Heavenly Delusion manga is still ongoing, and it's 8 volumes in.
8 volumes. Okay, that's usually enough for a 26-episode show.
Just like, what, 50 chapters or something? I don't know how much
there's
manga
usually either 5 or 10 chapters, depending on the length of if it's monthly or weekly, basically.
Right.
But anyways, so Hell's Paradise, it starts off this episode, we're cutting back to Gabimaru and friends, who we left behind at like a bathhouse in the middle of this weird, like, petrified former town at the heart of the island, at the heart of Hell's Paradise. I am surprised by, I don't know how long this manga is or how much of the story they've covered so far. Obviously it moves at a fucking breakneck pace. But this does actually feel like it's kind of getting towards its conclusion. We're like at the heart of the place. We've whittled down the cast to the essential core members. I won't be surprised if this actually has an ending in episode 13, or at least a really good sequel tease. But anyways, we've had our moment of rest, and Gabimaru is kind of just like wandering around, and he finds this place where there's all these trees that are like praying towards the center. We actually don't learn what this is until the end of the episode, but I think this is the only screen cap I took of it. So basically, each member of the village slowly turns into more and more of a tree until they lose their sense of consciousness, take this pose, and root down. And the Groot guy that guided them to this place at the end of the last episode is close to doing this himself. But the bulk of this episode, and even though we love this one, it is very straightforward. It's not going to take us long to talk about.
They fight. It's fighting.
It's a huge fucking fight. It's a big old fight. It's a big, fun, cool, action-packed fight. Because in this show so far, power levels have been off the fucking scale. Like, there's never been a sense of, like, what could challenge Gabimaru, but also there's a sense of what could challenge these godlike beings that inhabit the island that have beat the fuck out of all the other badass characters near to death, although a bunch of them are still
But again,
alive.
this is just kind of a reiteration that Gabimaru is maybe not the most badass, but absolutely the most driven of any of them.
And even then, he doesn't really win this confrontation. He might. The episode portrays it like he's fucking basically dead at the end, but he's probably not dead.
I have an itching feeling that this is not the first time we're gonna see Gabimaru dead. Air quotes.
Well, the whole first episode was just him being killed over and over again, and it failed.
Well, but they didn't really succeed.
No.
I think now we're going to reach a point where it's just constantly Hey, is he dead? We don't know.
Yeah, well,
And I don't know that I'm excited for
they're
that.
not going to kill him until the end of the show, obviously, but
I don't think they're going to kill him.
has this manga ended, by the way? Do
Yes.
you know? How many volumes is this one?
I don't know. I do know the ending.
But this is only I think they could probably wrap this up in 13 episodes, right?
No.
No? Okay, so you think this is going to
So,
have more seasons?
To explain very simply without spoiling too much, they do not succeed on their mission fast enough for the Shogun, and so the Shogun sends a second team. And so that's probably going to be the second arc, if I had to
I
guess.
see. So there's enough. There's
And they've
plenty of manga
they've
to go.
alluded to that already
Right.
in the show.
Amazing.
It has 128 chapters.
Oh boy! All right. Well, damn. Yeah, they're saying it'll be 3 seasons in the chat. So, shit. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited
happy
if they
for
go
it.
through all of it because it's Mappa usually does do multiple seasons of shows.
Do you think it's just going to come out like next season? We have season 2, season. No, okay, I didn't think so.
It'll probably be like a year or 2
Oh,
or
that
some shit.
sucks. I don't want to leave Gabimaru alone.
Well, I mean, the mangas. You can go read the manga of this one too if you want.
Yeah, and I could have read the graphic novel for the boys when that was coming out, but do you see
We
me
literally
doing that?
don't have any time to realistically read until this show is making us enough money, which is not going to happen if we keep having audio problems. But until this show makes us enough money that we can do less day job, there's no fucking chance we have any time to even watch other anime. Like, I have days where I'm just like thinking about how badly I want to show Bird like Shirobako or like a Ghibli movie, or there's something I was just thinking of earlier today that I really want us to watch. We'd both love to watch Darker Than Black again.
That would be a fun one to review for a bonus episode. Hey, $10 patrons, please. I haven't seen
That show's 24 episodes long though, so that would be like a real ask for us to do as one bonus
We could do
episode.
part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, but then people have to vote that over other shows they want to vote on. You're probably gonna have to wait years before people, have exhausted their gamut of shows they already want us to talk about. Anyways, Gabumaru, he and this demon that beat up the guys from the last episode basically just beat the fuck out of each other for like 10 solid minutes. It's pretty fun to watch. They break out all their powers. Here's Gabumaru goes sicko mode on this thing, punching just. He reaches a point where he's like, I just have to hit it so fast it can't regenerate. And he's kind of successful with that to the effect of it has to reveal its true form, which I think the FromSoft devs would be very jealous of this design. Like, this is like an Elden Beast
Yeah, so Gabimaru just kicks this
cross with a moonlight
person's
butterfly.
ass the whole time. Tensen? They're called Tensen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gabimaru's just kind of kicking ass, and in turn he's getting his ass kicked, and so he kind of just like pulverizes the humanish form of this thing, and then it transforms into a big flower with 2 humans.
I think that there's only one, like, I loved this whole action scene because it's just fun, but like the undercurrent of it is that this thing is really questioning if Gabimaru is human. It's like,
You're right.
believe
At
you're
one
human.
point in this fight, the monster goes, "Could you be? You're tougher than the other ones. Could
Yeah.
you be? Never mind."
Yeah.
I also I hate when they do that.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't you just finish the sentence?
No, of course not. But yeah, it's very suspect of Gabimaru's humanity based on him just being so much tougher than anything it's fought in like millennia or whatever. Gabimaru has a whole vision quest into his mind where he remembers his wife and has a nice little moment, and then he remembers Shinobi Rule number 20, which is if you're about to die, just use all the power you have left to try to kill the opponent.
And hey, Gabimaru, don't worry. You forget about this. All your training is specifically to ingrain this in you.
Yes, no, it's not something that he has to will himself to do. He has been like hardcore programmed to, like, if his body knows that he is probably going to die, then it's going to self-destruct. And it literally is like a Pokemon using self-destruct. Like, he cuts the thing up close with this sword and then just kind of explodes. And it's enough to convince the monster that he's dead. And it goes back to hang out with its other 5 friends. These, the pink and the
The other
yellow
Tensen.
one.
There's 6 of them, I believe, or 7 total.
The pink and yellow are the ones who were doing the lesbian makeouts before.
And so when we cut to the scene, the pink and yellow ones are talking about basically, the yellow one goes, I like to be a man more often because it's more functionality, and functionality is sexy.
Yeah.
And then the pink-haired girl goes, well, I like to be a girl because everyone wants to look at a naked girl.
Yeah.
And then, they have a little bit more of an argument.
Yellow's like, well, Pink also is like, well, you were just making out with me as a girl the other day.
He says that was for experimentation.
But they're having like an argument about it. I just really have to emphasize how much I love the guy with the fucking purple face.
He's pretty cool. I can't wait to see
purple
him.
face and red face
red
is
flowers.
also really nice.
Yeah.
But purple face is like next fucking level.
Real quick, did you know Gabimaru is 16?
Oh my god, that's hilarious. How old is the girl supposed to be?
The wife? Or,
No, the main
I don't know.
girl.
Let me see.
So yeah, the whole meeting of the monsters is basically to introduce them as like a cell, what they're kind of like
17.
Hanging out, and their boss who's like really strict, who's like, you really fucked up by having to use your special form, so we're on the back foot. We really need to get an advantage and fucking kill these guys. And then meanwhile, Gabimaru has seemingly been pulled out of the stream by the little girl. Who's like knocked out.
She like surrounds him in a protection bubble, and then they like soar down the mountain in the bubble.
Okay,
and I think the monster even says like, May, what are you doing?
Yes, I do remember that line. But yeah, the Master Swordsman dude and his Guardian dude.
Favorite character, by the way. This guy's great. He's fucking huge.
Yeah. Very last second, they stumble upon Gabimaru. So this is going to be a fun team up. I'll be interested to see his chemistry with Gabimaru. And I don't know, it probably also death warrant signing just to bring these characters back right now. But, we'll see what happens. And that's Hell's Paradise. Really enjoyable.
It was a great episode.
Pretty straightforward.
I mean, I hope we get to see more stuff happen next week, or just a little more explanation as to what the hell's going on with the Tensen. Also, you don't have a screen cap of this, but it is explained by the tree man. So Gabimaru kind of escapes in the middle of the night to start the fight with the Tensen, and he comes across a bunch of trees that look like
I explained this at the start.
Oh,
because
sorry.
He shows up there at the start of the episode, and they don't explain it, but then they explain it later.
Okay. Did you explain that the 7 Tensen are the split personalities of one god?
No, I did not.
So there was one immortal person who got so good at being immortal that she split, or I don't know if it's a she, honestly.
I mean, come on.
They split themselves into 7 personalities, and those are the Tensen, the fun-colored people, like fun hair color and flower dudes. They all have different roles. They all do different things. Those roles are not explained.
I'm excited that Hell's Paradise and Heavenly Delusion have pretty consistently been like the higher tier anime this season, besides Skip and Loafer, which is also good this week, and most of everything else was pretty mid. So we're gonna be going through as we walk through the show. Although the other Saturday show, Dangers in My Heart, is also solid this week.
Yeah.
Saturday is the day for anime this season. Like, Saturdays and Tuesdays, those are the days that I get excited about. Everything else, I'm like, oh man. I hope it'll be alright. So the next anime we're going to talk about is Hell's Paradise. This is a very exposition heavy episode, and we're not going to re-explain everything explained in it, because that would be boring and you could just be watching the show. But basically the main character, Gabimaru, had his fucking ass rocked in the last episode by one of these immortal
the Tensen
demigod things called the Tensen. He washed up in a river with the mute little girl with superpowers that's been sort of helping him, and he was discovered by this big, cool, badass samurai who was established a few episodes ago.
He's the best. Tall boys win again.
And basically, him and Gabimaru, and this guy's also got the guy who is watching over him, his executioner, should he ever do anything wrong, who's the state disemboweler or whatever.
Well, so it's explained that the Yamada Asemon are not just executioners, they're also they take time to create medicine as well, and that seems to be this guy's specialty. He loves autopsying things.
Yes.
Or they. It's not really clear.
Yeah, I guess they haven't really established a gender for that character, and this show certainly has a lot of gender play going on in it. So the big dude, I can't remember his name. It's Ryu something. I know that, and he's
Cool guy with the big sword.
him and Gabimaru are sizing each other up because he's like, you look like you've had your ass kicked recently, and Gabimaru's like, yeah, well, you look like you're walking with a limp. Cat issues.
What is it?
She's trying to eat.
Narcan or something in that
Oh
bag.
shit! Yeah, she loves to play in plastic bags. You might have to put the plastic bag up.
So anyway, they're sizing each other up. This guy sees Gabimaru. He's like, you look like you had your ass kicked recently. And he's like, yeah, but you're walking funny because your left arm must be too badly injured to use. And we flash back to him cutting his own hand off because it got stung by one of the turn you to flowers bees. What do you think gender this character is? The voice actor seems male, but there's been no established gender yet. And this show has a lot of...
I mean, they're cute.
They seem very aged.
Yeah, would you twink that little child, whatever that is?
I mean, not with that phrasing.
What are you saying right now? Stop.
I know how to do that without... Oh, yeah. Basically, he's like, we need to torture Gabimaru.
To get information out of him. Because
it has to be a guy because there's made such a huge deal out of the one woman who's in their group not belonging because she's a woman.
Oh, you're right. He does. Yeah, I fucking hate the Asaemon. They're so annoying.
Yeah. So yeah, he's like, I can get information out of him without killing him. Implication: is it sexier than torture? And
we can make this better.
basically, that's exactly what Gabimaru thinks because he's like, hey, I could fight these guys, but why would I do that? I am not an assassin anymore. I'm a good guy now. I'm just gonna ask them for help. So he does. They all start sort of trading information. I guess they're going to team up. We don't really revisit them in this episode. Also, I don't know if I got a screen cap of it, but the little pink-haired girl starts talking.
Which she also ages as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Gabimaru notices that she has somehow become like a teenage girl as opposed to a little girl. And the tall guy without a hand goes, well, that's just one of the mysteries of the female development.
Amazing. So, yeah, this is a little weird, but I think it's sort of implied that she starts giving the same exposition that Tree Man is to the other characters elsewhere.
So there's a power
big
system.
Brute man here.
We're 11 episodes in and we're getting a real power system finally. It's called Tau, I believe, which is different than Tan.
What is
Tan,
in this cup?
triple sec.
Okay.
That's a negative thing to me. Whenever an anime introduces the power system, I stopped watching JoJo on episode 4.
The first season?
Yeah.
Okay. You should
Come
check
on.
out the most recent season because it's the first female JoJo.
Oh,
and
really?
it stands. I feel like
It's
stands
all
as a
set in
big
prison
development.
Also. Anyway, so this group, man, they're basically, again, this is a lot of exposition. I don't want to go through all of it. The main gist of it is that the fat dude, I can't remember his name, concludes that this cannot just be like heaven. This cannot be a real religious place.
This has got to be based on this dude that tried to overthrow the shogunate a while back.
Yes, because this guy was a religion collector. Because there's stuff on this island that is themed out of Buddhism, themed out of Shintoism, themed out of Taoism. So, like, it's not a consistent religious vision of a paradise.
Real quick, Amy Worrell said, Samurai is my second favorite. I like Yuzuriha more. Yuzuriha is the female ninja. I would like her more if we had any fucking concept of her as a character other than she is a slut.
She needs a real backstory instead of just like a fake one she made up. But I don't think we're going to get that for a while. So then, meanwhile, we had the blind samurai who, had trained blonde boy who died recently, who this girl was sort of falling in love with, and then, had to watch him die. And she's like, everybody I care about dies. Please. Initially hesitant, but he's like, okay, so I'm blind, so the way that I see is I can read people's, I don't remember the word they have for it.
Tau.
Tau. I can
But
read people's
I don't know
talent.
that he uses that word specifically, because I don't know that he knows of that word yet.
Okay.
Because I don't know that they're getting the same exposition that the other two groups of
Right.
characters are.
But basically, he says that like everything emits waves all the time, and like as those waves move, I can I can sort of predict where things are going, and which is
It's
sort of
it's like a
realistic.
boomerang. You throw it and it comes back around again.
Yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, when you move, you literally push a wave that's going to hit a wall and then come back to you, like sonar. So, like, technically, if you could detect all the different, like, push and pulls of pressures, you probably could see pretty well. I don't think mere blindness will give you that ability, but, anime. So, there's, we've had established there's this big pit that if you throw humans into it, they turn into flowers.
And
they
this creates the source of immortality for the Tensen somehow.
Yeah.
The Tan, which is what they call it. We
Yes.
saw it in the last episode. It's basically like a rainbow-colored drink that just gives you immortality and the power to turn into a man or a woman.
Oh.
Yes.
This show's fun.
I like
There's
that.
lots of gender fluid.
Whoa.
So the
What?
first-
Why
the-
didn't you,
creatures
why
in
didn't you
this.
show me this one? What the heck?
There were none in this episode, but we could
Oh.
show you the cool
So,
scene.
that's-
the cool lesbian
I
breakout scenes.
my
in
whole
this.
input is I like that shot. That was a good screen grab.
So just to explain the Tensen real quick, they're the immortal people, the people that have drunk the elixir, and we first get introduced to them maybe 4 episodes before this, with 2 really hot girls making out in a group, like
I
just a
like
big
that.
field, and then they notice humans, and they go, oh shit, humans, and they turn into men and just start kicking the shit out of like, it's
Dude,
really great.
That sounds like the greatest
And then
scene ever.
the
Like, I
episode
think
before
art could end
this-
After that.
The episode before this, all the Tensen are like in a group together and debating like, well, I like being a woman because people just immediately look at your body, or I like being a man because it's form over function. You can just kick the shit out of anyone.
Yeah.
This show is really interesting. This is actually the show that got us to start this show.
Those
Yeah.
trans women that work out and they're fucking buff.
Oh my god, those
So,
I'm not gonna start
destroy
talking about all the
everyone.
girls that
Anyway.
I follow on Twitter. So these 2 guys had gotten thrown into this pit at some point, and they are crawling their way out. The 2 brothers.
Well, specifically, the Bandit King is crawling his way out because he's just
carrying his brother on his back.
yeah. This
like-
guy, well, yeah, this guy just has unhuman devotion or something or
He's just
power.
willpower. He's just
Yeah.
got sheer willpower.
Like, so we're at the screenshot. We're killing those shitheads, Toma. And Toma goes, "Are you sure? I don't think we can actually fight them." And he just says it like 4 more times.
He
We're
gives
killing
him
those
that
shitheads,
look.
Toma.
Look at this face. This is one of those, for me, anime, the best part of it is like that art can be expressive. And the biggest problem with most anime is that autistic people don't really know what expressions look like. Thankfully, this show has an understanding of faces. What a cool face. That is just the most like empty violence. Just pure seething hate.
I just like blood, and that's
Yeah, the
it.
blood's
I like
cool,
blood
too.
on faces.
So Toma's about to just like eat the arm of somebody who is in the pit, and he's trying to feed it to the brother as well. He's trying to convince him to eat
Dude,
this.
this seems like my show, gender fuckery and just like blood and eating.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the
cannibalism,
most fun
intense
shot.
violence. It is really fun.
This is the first media that has kind of caused me to question how, cisgender I am. Just because, like, yeah, wouldn't it be fun to have tits?
This show did it. I
Oh,
get
oh
it.
my God.
I get it though. It's Ranma from
So there was
Wait, what?
Ranma
Ranma one half.
The main character's a guy who falls into a cursed water pit in China that turns him into a girl, and now every time he has cold water poured on him, he turns female. Hot water turns him back.
Interesting.
So he doesn't identify as a woman, but there's one episode where he forgets about his male identity and just becoms like a 100% femme, and it's a really,
sick.
really
Wait,
interesting episode.
how do you spell that? What?
RANMA 1 half, and I think yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So-
anyway.
Real quick, just because I had said, wouldn't it be cool to have boobs? This show was not the first thing that had ever made me think that thought. The first thing ever that did it, and this is a non sequitur because it's not anime. My dad was really into Radiolab growing up. It's an NPR show where they just do like random case studies on things. But one of them, the case studies they did is there was, I don't know that they're still around. There was a guy who was a mayor of a town, and the mayor of the town was basically, and I could be butchering this story, but basically the mayor of the town was like, tits are cool. I'd like tits. and then got tits, and then just continued to be a man, continued to be the mayor, but with tits. And it's a little appealing to me, but because I already look like I have tits in a dress, but
You do. Shockingly, that
I
dress
look like
just
less tits than it is.
that dress form fit you perfectly.
because it was small.
But I do know another trans girl that figured out they were trans because of Ranma 1/2. So
It is probably the most influential like gender fluid, at least Japanese media out there, because throughout the 90s like gender play became a big thing in anime directly because Ranma was so fucking successful.
Oh, interesting. I need to watch it.
It's 160 episodes long, and I don't recommend all of them, but I did once make a blog post about like what 100 episodes are like most essential. What's going on here?
Sorry, I just posted a picture because the cat was being really cute, and Asher went, "She loves you. She's trying to be friends." And I said, "She's attacked me 15 times today." And Asher goes, "Friendships have their ups and downs," which with cats, absolutely
Which
true.
15 times is definitely an underestimation. It's like.
Oh, no, I know. So we got home with food, and she was initially interested in the food, and then she realized, so I got those, like, the best way, like Aladdin pants, the poofy pants, but they're purple, and they're made of all kinds of different color. As soon as I got home, the cat was just constantly trying to attack the pants, and I can't figure out why, because there's no dangly shit, really,
It's
where
just
she was
the-
trying to
the
attack.
texture probably feels good on her claws.
I was pretty upset, because I was like, I just bought these. Can you,
So,
like, leave them alone for
Anyway,
a second?
these boys have made it out the pit, and they get visited.
I
by
just
this
cleaned up this mess. Can we
weird-
leave it alone for 5 minutes? Sorry,
It's
that's
like-
an Incredibles
I don't know.
reference.
He looks like a slug made of tree branches in a like
And
a
so
monk outfit.
he explains that so the big guys, the people that look like gods we've been seeing, they're I think Doshin or Soshin, one of the two, and they are basically scum. They're not evolved correctly, but this guy is part of some group, I don't remember their name, that study with the Tensen, and basically he shows up to go, "Hey, can you please get back in the pit?"
Yeah, he's like, he acts like he's being extremely reasonable towards them, and then is like, yeah, but you need to like die though, because that's what you're supposed to do. And they're like, well, we're obviously not going to do that, so they kick his ass. This was a weird scene because there's one moment that annoyed me in this episode. The guy they're fighting says, like in surprise, "Oh, you have like superhuman strength. You must have eaten some of the Tao." And then it's implied that he can see people by their Tao, and seeing him, like, well, he would have already known. If he is seeing him through the Tao, why would he not have known that? Anyway, that was annoying. Yeah, that's it for that episode. The last thing that's important is that the blonde guy has realized that the immortal gender fluid creatures, their weakness must be in their groin or
Oh,
stomach.
right, yes. Yeah,
Because
because he cut off the top half of them, and then they grew back up like roots. And,
Yes, it
they're
grew
like
from
trees.
the, like, middle out. And I don't know how Gabimaru didn't figure this out when he like beat one to like a fucking pulp previously. But I guess he's not as smart as this guy.
So the way I can kind of explain it is like Gabimaru's not really thinking like that.
That's
He's
true.
kind of just like, I want to see my wife.
How do I kill this thing?
I wanna
as
see my
quickly as
wife.
possible? Yeah, and go get back to my wife.
My wife.
So, yeah, that's Hell's Paradise. This show is actually good.
I'm very happy the show continues to be good. We start learning some real stuff that's going on. This show being Hell's Paradise. We start with
Yes.
Bandit King Man. I forget his name, but he's pretty cool.
This dude rules. He's just
He has like consumed some of the humans that are in that pit that have fused with the
Yeah.
flowers that give everyone immortality, and so he's slowly gaining powers by fighting
Yeah.
this monster.
they've been introducing lots of like spiritual based spirit backed power stuff, so that there can be some power scaling in this show, because so far it's just been like a bunch of badasses beating the shit out of each other. All of the main badasses we have left have lost fights to the immortal gender fluid
The Tensen.
constantly transitioning back and forth Tensen monsters. And they all got their asses kicked, so how are any of them ever going to be able to beat them? Well, the answer is in this episode.
It's called Tao.
Yes, and as our heroes learn to master Tao in different ways, they are able to put up a fight. It's really funny and a little clumsy, a little goofy that there is basically this like race of I guess, demigods that work underneath the Tensen.
Who are also learning Tao, or no Tao, and they kind of control the monsters on the island and all of that.
These
Doshin, I think?
The Doshin are the most convenient, like, the most writer's convenience characters imaginable.
It is funny, because when the guy that Bandit King's beating up right now appeared, I was just kind of like, oh, cool. The writer is here to explain things to us. That's kind of strange. I've never seen that before.
All three of the Doshin we get introduced to just show up and start dispensing information. And then
they should not be dispensing.
No, stuff they shouldn't be telling. Well, and, like, they're all saying it with the caveat of, like, we're telling you this because we're about to kill you. And it's like, why? But it's always the information that they end up using to then defeat those guys, proving that they are now strong enough to at least beat people who are right below the Tensen, meaning they have a chance with the Tensen. It's all just purely for the convenience of setting us up for our rematches. But the characters are really fun to watch in their fights. This guy, his whole thing is just, sheer determination and adaptation. And because he's always been adapting, he's now adapting to Tao, adapting to gaining immortality, and trying to hold on to some level of humanity, I guess, as
I don't think he cares so much about that. It's also...
His brother cares more about that.
It's pretty clear that he is, I wouldn't say like being affected detrimentally by using these powers, but he is definitely being affected by them somehow. Like he's getting weird purple tattoos all over him.
Yeah, the places where he's been like killed, like there's these vine tattoos that have been like growing as he fights on, and his brother's really concerned about it. But yeah, there's a really cool moment where he just punches a fucking hole in the Doshin guy. Cool fight. And yeah, here's the brother says they look less like lacerations and more like vines, and it cuts,
to May.
Yes, to the little girl who has her body grew in the last episode. She's like a 4-year-old who suddenly became like a 14-year-old, but she still has the mind of a child.
A lot of this episode, her dialogue is just like saying strong, strong, weak, strong, strong, weak,
yes,
strong, weak,
she's trying to communicate to Gabimaru and the tall swordsman guy that they can't master Tao because they're trying too hard, basically.
To be strong.
Yeah, they're always hitting with max force, and she's like, it's not really necessary, but she doesn't know how to communicate it because she can't use words that well. She still has the mind of a child, which is important to point out because some fucked up stuff is going to be suggested about this character, because these Doshin show up and they're like, hey,
we need you for training. Can you come back and be
you're
training?
Important. We need you to help.
And then they
with
explain
this stuff.
why she's needed for training.
Yeah, what kind of training we're talking about. But before they explain that, it's important to note that Gabimaru just kind of is looking at the situation and seeing that she looks scared. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I really shouldn't involve myself. But she looks back with a scared look in her face, and he immediately jumps in like, must protect. Moe, to Moe, must protect. And in particular, we'll get into this. So they start explaining how the magic works.
5 different levels of Tao. I don't remember what any of them are except for the last one, because it's the one that sticks with you. But basically, the highest level of Tao you can only achieve by having sex with a different Tao user who has yin or yang energy, whichever you don't have.
Yeah, so
it's a big yin-yang episode.
Yin is woman, yang is man, and so the yin and yang energies have to be combined through sex. But the Tensen have, I guess they've fucked so much that now they all have equal amounts of yin and yang energy, and they can freely change gender. I'm not sure if that's how that works.
The Tensen just necessarily have so much yin and yang energy. That's part of why Mei was shunned to be a sex slave or whatever.
Right.
Is because she does not have yang energy. She can't transform into a different gender.
She should be like the Tensen, but for whatever reason, she's only a woman and is therefore considered basically a failure. So in order for everybody to know that, they cut a huge fucking mark into her shoulder and they told her, you can either run off and die like a dog, or be our training slave. In other words, just a literal sex slave.
Not great.
Yeah, no, not good options. And so Gabimaru is really upset with this in particular because his wife had a big cut across her face and was literally just given to him as a wife because, like, her dad was the village chief and he just wanted to deal with her, get rid of her, throw her off onto this guy. But, like, he sees it as this is objectification.
Which we are very against here at the We Watch
we're gonna
podcast.
this show I could do a lengthy feminist critique on this show. It has a lot to say about gender relationships, and especially about the way women were sort of treated and objectified, particularly in this period of Japanese history where like they're just kind of seen as literal objects that could be traded or, you know, used for whatever purpose. And Gabimaru is really not okay with that. So he launches into battle. He starts learning about Tao and shit. Oh, I guess that's all the screen caps I took.
So they launch into battle, and the Doshin basically use these two Doshin that they're fighting control the centipedes that eat dead bodies and the butterflies that turn people into flowers. So they like Gundam them. Is that the power Mechazord? That's what I'm thinking. They Mechazord them, and they basically do Voltron. They do an imitation of I fucking forget the Tensen in the last episode's like big flower form thing, and then they just kind of start kicking ass for a bit, and then a
lot of good fighting.
Yeah, this was a pretty good episode for fighting. May basically, or not May, the weird little scalpel man. Weird little dissection boy.
Oh yeah, dissection guy is just dissecting monsters and studying them.
Well, no, during this fight specifically, he's standing back with May and he goes, "Oh, I get it," and then explains how Tao works. And then after he does that, Gabimaru's like, "Yep, that makes perfect sense. I completely understand it. I'm really good at it."
He just starts doing it.
He just starts kicking ass, and it's the Doshin are like, "Wow, he's on the same level as the Tensen."
Yeah.
And it's like, really?
This fight is specifically to like just let us know, hey, Gabimaru can fight those guys now. Everybody thinks so. Everybody thinks so, guys.
I mean, he had fought them to some success.
I'm excited to see how Big Sword Man might have to learn about Tao or the little Islander girl.
Oh yeah, I wish we saw her in this episode. The blind guy too.
They do show her for 1 second, and
but it's only in like the gray face guys. Like, oh, we were warned that these people are worse than.
I think what they were trying to communicate, because there's one shot where it shows her, and there's sort of an after image of the guy who died, like doing the same pose, like as if to suggest that she's as good as he is now, as like the pupil.
I see.
Silver hair man. I think that's what they were going for. But yeah, this show is a perfect example of why like. Good writing isn't always necessary. Like, if you have really cool ideas and fights.
I will also say this show is at least part of spawning all of the gender fluidity questions in my head. Just the whole Tensen thing, and especially now as we've gotten further into it.
The Tensen are Bird's Ranma. Having never seen Ranma would have, Bird had the Tensen. We have a super chat from Hidden Music Island for €5. Says, glad I woke up early today. Hell yeah. Hidden Music Island, I don't know what country you're from, but he usually misses the live streams because of being in, I assume, Europe, because it seems like you're 5 hours or so ahead of us. Anyway.
Well, here we go. Hell's Paradise. Woo-hoo! So this episode starts... Okay.
Yeah, go for it. You said woohoo. You do that every time I say woohoo.
Anyway, so this episode starts off where we left off, obviously, with, I don't think we left off in last episode with this, but, fucking, what's her name? I don't remember any of these characters' names. Senta is the fat guy. It's him and the two girls.
I'm trying to remember too now.
Ninja girl basically immediately runs away from this guy like he's too powerful. I can't do anything with him, and she's just immediately captured.
Because at the end of the last episode, I don't know if we mentioned it, but the second they walk through the door, Groot's head just comes off.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she tries to book it, and he immediately is like, "Hey, don't run away. I like you. I want to fuck with you."
I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. But yeah, so basically he explains, you have some usage of Tao, so you are the most interesting, you have the most Tao. I don't care about these other two, Yamada Asaemon, because they're losers.
Yes.
And so he just kind of starts kicking the Asaemon's asses and trying to convince the ninja girl to be friends with him.
He summons these, like, puppet
Kyoshin,
dudes.
I think he calls them.
They're humans that he experimented on until they are no longer human, I think.
Whoa, you said the thing.
No longer human, dude. So this I say he, but they're all gender fluid, so this one's gonna switch back and forth.
I think this is one of the Tensen that is more man identifying.
There's a part where he changes into a woman to use like different attacks, and
different
tactics.
Because
yes.
that's something we learned is men and women can use different kinds of Tao, the yin and yang, whatever. But anyway, so ninja girls just kind of being assaulted by this guy.
Groot is still alive enough to explain expository
Well, we're not there
stuff.
yet. We're not there yet.
Well, that's what's happening right here in the screen cap. He's saying, "Oh, you're still alive."
Oh, I see. I forgot what his name was, I guess.
But basically, the long and short of this whole dialogue is that this guy, he likes to fuck with humans. He likes to experiment on them. Also, they've just been, basically from his perspective, they've been bringing people to this island so he can fuck with them. There is no such thing as a life elixir, he says. Y'all are fucking...
I'm gonna be honest, he's gotta be fucking lying, right? There's no way this is true. I think he's just trying to fuck with them.
Maybe. I know you said that the story continues past them being, like, on this, quest, right? To get this life elixir?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
No, I never said that. And even if I were to have said that, you should not have brought that up.
Well, never mind then. I thought we talked about that on the show. So I
think the only thing I said about this show going forward is that eventually a second group of people get sent to the island.
Okay, I see. I guess I had misunderstood that when you said that. This episode is a lot of fighting. There's a lot of like twists and turns and new abilities and stuff, and yeah, it all is really fun to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. There's only a few like real character beats that matter in it, but part of what I thought was fun here is the relationship between these two girls, because they've kind of been, the ninja
they're
girl...
kind of yin and yang, I mean, they're not male and female, but in terms of in terms of female people, they're kind of like...
Well, I would love if this show commented on the idea that there's more to yin and yang than just man female, like the way the Tencent are doing it, But yeah, these two, I don't know if I would say that they ever came off as particularly close, but in this battle they become close because of the fact that immediately...
Yuzuriha is the purple-haired girl's name, and Sagiri is the other girl's name.
Sagiri immediately jumped to Yuzuriha's defense. Like, she tried to help her, she tried to, get her out of that guy's clutches.
Senta did first.
Okay.
Because Senta...
They both do, though. They both are trying to save her.
Well, what it is Senta draws his blade at the Tensen, and Sagiri is very taken aback by this, because we'll learn later in the episode. He's not really into this whole sword fighting thing. He doesn't really like it. He wanted to be an artist.
Yes.
And then, after he sees that, he goes, does he have special feelings for her? And that gets expanded on in a bit, but we'll get there.
So, Senta is definitely in love with Yuzuriha. She kind of treats him...
I don't know about that.
Well, he says he's...
He doesn't say he's in love with her. He is jealous of her. Would transition have saved her?
Maybe that's...
and it's not... envious is a good word for it.
Inspired is also a word I would use. Like, he views her as an inspiration.
All right, if we're just talking about it, I'll just talk about it. So basically, Senta was raised in a family that just sent their kids to be raised by the Yamada Asaemon. He didn't want to do that. He always wanted to be an artist, and so he hates killing people. He hates testing swords. He hates all of that. He just wants to be free-spirited. The thing he appreciates about Yuzuriha is how free-spirited she is, and there's like a really cool sequence of it in which she's in rainbows and everything.
So, and also that like even though she's incredibly cruel, it is in the name of maintaining her own freedom. And so I think that he allows her to be cruel to him because of the fact that he respects the freedom that she's expressing. And she just kind of takes advantage of that, and I don't think really respects him very much because of that. Like, and granted, like, she appreciates what he's trying to do. I don't think she really respects
anybody.
I think she respects Sagiri, and that's the difference that I see. Like, because there's this moment where she stops and like grabs her by the face and is like, our top priority is survival. Like, she cares about Sagiri surviving, and it's interesting that both Sagiri and what's his name? Senta were both trying to save her, but she doesn't really express any of this towards Senta. She doesn't really treat him any better.
No, she literally like uses him to deflect an attack.
I think it's because, and I don't know, maybe this is just the way I feel as a person, but like, it's hard for me to like respect somebody any more than they respect themselves. You know, like if you are constantly disrespecting yourself, then it's like, you know,
What's the point of me pouring my respect into you?
right, exactly. If you're going to diminish it by constantly like, it's not to say that Senta is disrespecting himself, but he will easily allow himself
he's disrespecting
to be,
his dreams and what he really wants to do and how he
That's-
wants to live his life.
that's
So that is
true.
the same as disrespecting yourself,
Yeah.
I would say.
That's fair. I don't know how much of that she really realizes about him, but I think it's just the fact that she can walk all over him. It's like, well, then I'm going to, because you're letting me do it. Sagiri would not let that happen.
No.
She would not let herself be treated the way Senta is, and I think that's why Yuzuriha respects her and like sees her as more of an equal, is because like, yeah, you know, you're not going to let me treat you like shit, and I actually do value having you around because you tried to help me and all this shit, you know? So,
But
I don't know.
Yuzuriha and Sagiri are fighting the Tensen, whose name I don't think we learn. I don't know, we might, and I just forgot it. But anyway, they're fighting. We finally get to see what the hell Yuzuriha can actually fucking do, and that is...
Oh yeah, I have a screen cap of that.
So she can drink...
Oh, first,
yeah, this is pretty
just
hot.
her being really hot.
Yeah, that's pretty, wood. But
Yeah,
anyway,
this
so
is
she
sick.
can drink poison, not be affected by it, and then secrete it like ropes, basically.
Yeah.
And so she shoots out her ropes, and she just basically
Skating rope.
yeah. Anyway, surrounds the Tensen with the ropes, which start dissolving his body, and then like cuts him in half, basically. And it's a really cool sequence because she does it in like 3 pieces. I don't know. This episode has a lot of really fun fighting.
Yeah, her power seems pretty badass.
But so immediately,
also, just like I want to say, like, Hot Ninjas is like my #1 favorite. Like, nothing beats badass Kunoichi in an outfit like this. The girls from Dead or Alive, the girl from Tenchu, fucking Izuna, the Legend of the Unemployed Ninja. Anytime I see a fucking hot ninja girl, I'm just like, please let her be cool. And like, she hasn't really gotten to be cool until this episode. And like, at first she got captured and I was like, oh no, she's gonna be the damsel in distress. But it was cool that there was a woman who was working towards saving her, and also that she, you know, once the fight starts, she's the one who does most of the damage. She's really in the fight because, yeah, once she understands Tao, she's like, oh, we called that key, but now that you're telling me there's more I can do with it,
yeah.
I'm unlocking more.
Well,
of
and
the
basically, the
potential of
Tensen
it.
is only interested in her because she has had an exposure to Tao, so she's built
Yeah.
hers up. Sagiri keeps like getting in the way, and this is it's really funny because the beginning of their fight is basically just Yuzuriha and Sagiri and Senta just saying to each other, "You're getting in the way. You're getting in the way," to each other constantly, and it's
Yeah.
like, just pick who's taking point on
That's
this.
really cute.
And eventually, they decide, "Oh, we have to fight him together."
Yeah.
Um,
I like when Yuzuri has giving her.
her character statement.
Yeah, because we had blonde guys say similar stuff before, where like, because to me in this show, if you're going to survive as a character,
you have to have a defined driving purpose.
yes, and I would say I think this is exactly like reality. This show to me is very, very. What's the word? Unfortunately, the phrase "red pilled" has been ruined by
Based?
by the right. No, I mean literally like this is what reality is. Like acid thought, everything is one. How do I put it? Like it's the truth. The show is good at telling the universal truth behind it. Like what makes it watchable to me, because the powers are fucking nonsense, right? Like it's a whole lot of dialogue about how things work. None of it makes any sense. It's magic. It doesn't fucking matter. It's a justification for why cool fights happen. But the attitudes of the characters, the reasons they survive, have a lot of weight and trueness to me. And like I've talked a lot about how I have a phrase: self-insistence is a success necessity. In order to succeed in life, you must insist on yourself, because nobody else is ever going to insist on you until you insist on yourself. And like when
I
you
insist on myself at least twice a day.
when you are saying things like, I would kill a real god to protect my personal ability to live and do what I want.
No, she quickly became one of my favorite characters.
That is, well, it's just the ultimate statement about yourself. It's just like, yeah, I will do fucking anything, to allow myself to do what I want to do. And now we've got two characters who have said that and who have continued to exceed their capacity. And, like, in the case of Gabimaru, he's doing it for someone else. But he cares.
Is he, though?
I think, it's... I said episodes and episodes ago that I think his wife is, like, secretly dead. It might even be that he knows it and he's just, like, psychologically fractured himself to forget. I'm really anticipating anything from this show because it's fucking nuts. And we still have an episode left in the season, so I'm excited to get to that too and see what kind of stuff happens there. But yeah, like, they do briefly seem to kill this guy by all working together.
So basically, Tree Man tells Sagiri you have to cut him in, and he uses a word for it, but basically the center of his stomach. That's where Tau is formed, that's where it comes from. And she gets a hit off initially, but the Tenzin basically goes, you don't know how to use Tau well enough to actually make that do anything. And then she does her breathing technique and fucking hurts his eye so it can't regenerate.
She basically realizes, as soon as she understands what Tau is, she just immediately understands it.
Very similar to Gabimaru.
Which, like, it's sort of implied.
Well, I would say I think she knows a little less about it than Gabimaru does, or maybe they know exactly the same because they end up pretty much as injured as each other.
The Tenzin basically implies that this is something that happens sometimes. That just, like, some people, like, have to master it. Some people just get it as soon as they find out about it, and he thinks she must be the latter type.
Well, and it's nuts that they just get it. So, like, Yuzuriha just always has the amount of Tau she has. Sagiri has to, like, instantly manifest it. Yeah. That's how it's described, I believe.
This is another thing about when I say this show understands, like, a truthiness to it. Because, like, Tao being just, like, a metaphor for your literal spiritual ability to just do things, like, to manipulate reality, basically. Like, shit, I had an example I was going to give, and then I forgot. Like... The fan came on and I just got mind wiped.
Alright, so anyway, as I was saying, Sagiri learns how to use her Tau, and she initially wounds his eye, and that does not regenerate, so they're like, oh shit, that's what I have to do. And it's basically exposited on even more that there are types of Tau, and Sagiri's Tau happens to be the opposite to this person's type of Tau.
Right, I remember now.
So anyway... Then they're in the big fight. They all kind of work together to get the Tenzin secured, and Senta basically goes up behind him, stabs him through the chest, and holds him with, like, an arm against the neck so that he can't move, and basically goes, now you're not going to be able to move. And the Tenzin goes, what, are you going to be cut down with me? And Senta yells out, Sagiri, aim for a feather's width or breadth or something like that. Yeah. And so it's like... She basically cuts him in half without cutting Senta at all. Yeah. The Tenzin doesn't move. It seems like he's dead, and at this point I was like, no, he's not. We saw what happened to that other Tenzin. He's not dead.
So, like, Tau is, like, kind of a metaphor for just being able to do stuff, and I kept thinking about Film Crit Hulk wrote this article once about Donald Glover, where he was calling him a genius, basically. But he says that a genius isn't necessarily somebody who gets it right on the first try. It's about how quickly you learn.
Yeah.
How fast you can make it better, how much better it is the next time you do it. And I think everybody has certain things that they are just, like, way more talented at than other things. Like, I would not consider myself a genius as a writer by any stretch of the imagination, because it took me so fucking long to get good. Like, to even get, like, mildly good took a lot of practice. I've been writing for years and years and years before I started making money off of it, and
I was going to sound really pretentious. I would consider myself a genius when it comes to cooking, just because, like...
I agree, and I've seen you cook something once, fuck up in a couple little ways, and then just make it perfect the next time.
Yeah.
You know, like to like a ridiculous degree of perfection, because you just
It's
saw
just
what
something
the
I
problems are and
understand.
fixed them, you know?
I mean, like, cooking, when it comes down to it, is basically just science, and I spent a lot of the reason why I have the understanding about it that I do is because the first cookbook I ever had was called The Food Lab. It's by J. Kenji Lopez Alt, who Binging with Babish describes as where all good recipes come from. But basically, you know, The Food Lab is a book with a bunch of really good recipes, and then after the recipes, the science behind them, why it works and everything. And Serious Eats is pretty much that as well. That's the website that he runs. But that is kind of how I learned to cook, and so now, like, I can just kind of understand why things fuck up.
Yeah.
Which I can't always do with, you know, regular life. And so that's part of why I like to cook so much, because
Yeah.
it's something I'm pretty confident with that I can get right. And, like, it's getting to the point now, like, so today I made hash browns with hash brown, like the cubes as opposed to the actual hash browns. I'm not used to doing that, so it just kind of looked ugly to me, and it's like I had a problem with that. I didn't used to have a problem with that. It's like, well, I feel like I've got technique down mostly for making it taste good, and now I want to get the technique of making it look good. And part of that is I've been getting into like weird avant-garde artsy food, and that would be fun to get into, but my big problem there is just there's so much fucking waste that goes into that kind of food, and I'm not really comfortable doing that. But if you would like to see me cooking more, please say it, and I'll do it.
All right, we have to continue. The cooking conversation is going over my head, and I have nothing to contribute. So this
This is Senta explaining why he likes Yuzuriha so much.
the Tensen was not dead. It turns into its big final form.
And
I have a screen cap of
stabs
that in a
Senta
second.
through the heart with a rose.
Yes,
and then
so
he turns
as
into a
he's-
flower guy.
As he's dying, he has this crazy, trippy hallucination about Yuzuriha just like kicking over the pile of skulls that like exists in his mind of all the people he's beheaded, and just kind of dancing in the rain of skulls. I love this sequence. It's one of those just images that, like, however, like it's. I won't say it's obvious. It's not obvious. It's weird. Well, anyway, I was talking about how much I love this scene in Hell's Paradise because this girl's just dancing with a parasol in a rain of heads. It's incredibly surreal. It's very different. I never would have conceived of such an image, and yet I'm surprised to have never seen it, which is how I always feel about anything I see that I'm like, wow, I'm like blown away that somebody came up with this and nobody else had. Again, I don't think it seems obvious. It's just like, you know, this is creativity at its finest for me. You're taking a bunch of things that make sense and are recognizable and doing something somehow different with it. Always fascinating.
All right, it's real trans hours, ladies and gentlemen. I'm breaking out the white monster.
Oh shit, it's White Monster. Let's go. Let's fuck up our DNA with this sucralose.
Whatever. Who knows if that's real?
Where did you hear that information about the sucralose?
I don't want JoJo's friend that I met in DC that one time.
Oh. I don't even remember who you're talking about.
Yeah, you didn't meet him. I don't really want to talk about him too much, just because I don't think he would appreciate it.
All right. Well, so here's the fucked up monster that the Tencent turned into.
No, oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about the white monster. That is the best
No.
monster.
This is a fucked up monster. It's
But
cool
so-
as shit, though.
It is really cool. We get to see the whole unfurling of it. I can't wait to see the other Tensins this form. They have a word for it. I forget what the word is. But yeah, this is very cool.
My final form.
I can only assume that the next episode is going to be an intercut between Sagiri and Yuzuriha fighting this guy, and Gabimaru and the tall guy fighting a different Tensen.
Yeah, that's probably gonna happen.
But so this happens, and Sagiri and Yuzuriha are basically like, fuck, we really have to fight this thing right now?
Yuzuriha's basically over it. Like, she went from I'll fucking kill God to I have to fight that. I don't know.
I don't know if I'd fight God.
Just watch
actually.
Senta die. Also, like, he's now a flower.
He's a flower. But so, do you have a screenshot of what happens next, or So the vines shoot out towards them, and Blind Man is here. Woohoo!
Yes, just in the nick of time when you're like, oh no, they're not going to kill Yuzuriha after they just made her a badass. Nope. Blind Samurai shows up. I assume this means that the Islander girl is not far behind.
I would think so.
So,
But yeah, I'm excited to see them more.
It's
been a
cool
while.
to have some more paths crossing, more of our
been a
group getting
while.
together. So, I mean, at this point, all the important characters will be in just 2 groups, I think.
This is so actually to draw a comparison to Dead Mount Deathplay. Pretty much everyone has the exact same motivations in both shows, and they're all going towards the same thing. But this show, everyone has a very clear, defined personality and what they're after, what they're about.
This show is a billion times better than Dead Mount Deathplay. Anime scores. I always feel weird giving a score to a show because I've given scores to thousands of shows, and so like when I give like something a 6 versus a 7, it's like that means there's like 200 things in between those, you know. Like in this show, like the difference between this and Dead Mount Deathplay, this show I'd give like a strong 8 probably. Dead Mount Deathplay is like a 5, like
at best
a light 5. That's a huge difference. That is a world. That's thousands of anime worth of difference of quality. It's just really funny that they're both basically just trying to be badass. Like that's all they want is to have like a bunch of badass characters doing badass shit.
And I guess the
show is so much more
big
successful.
problem with Dead Mount Deathplay is no one's really that badass.
No, they all just stand around and fucking talk. They don't do anything. In this show, shit is constantly happening. It's breakneck like every time I think back to where we were at the end of like episode 3, I didn't think any characters were going to matter or survive except Gabimaru and Sagiri. And then like the next 10 episodes is just
establishing
making
all
us
the other
give
characters.
a fuck about like 5 or 6 other people, and yet also keeping their lives on the line. You know, slowly killing off the less cool ones until you're just left with the badasses.
That's another thing too. Is like this show, there is kind of always a constant fear that anyone could die, and in Dead Mount Deathplay,
they did such a good job of that. Dead Mount
It's not
Deathplay,
like
nobody
that.
will ever die. You have a necromancer as the main character. He could literally just bring your fucking ghost back to fight for him. There's no way a character can disappear from that universe. It's nuts.
It's like the opposite of actions have consequences. But yeah, that's that episode. It was very good.
very
I'm
good.
excited to see the ending. I'm sad that it's ending, but I'm glad it's coming back
Also
in
a show that
October.
needs more. Another show that like I feel I'm gonna have to give an 8, but could be a 9 if it continues to be badass. All right, let's do the best anime this season.
Oh, we're going straight into it. Okay.
Hell's fucking Paradise. This,
Wow.
This episode was amazing.
It was really good.
I didn't. Yeah, this was just some of the better. The death scene was like really moved me.
Yeah, it was
Good
it was-
art. Good art.
And you have not seen any of this show before.
it was.
And you were like
really,
blown away by this episode.
It was really beautiful.
I think the
really
one
iconic.
complaint you had about this show was when they started explaining the power
Oh,
and the Tao thing, and you're like, I hate
I'm
show.
allergic to shonen. I just hate shonen. Or just when they talk about mechanics. I don't know. I don't give a shit about that. But
this show,
Nen.
what really blew my mind right off the bat was like the episode started, and I was expecting to have to explain stuff to you, but I felt like it was really
pretty
clear
evident,
cut.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
there was
yeah.
a big monster. There was
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 people in danger. A guy shows up and saves them and starts kicking ass, and
It
it's
felt
pretty clear what's going on.
very self-contained. I honestly would show some of these scenes to other people just of like, this is an insane thing that happened in animation. Like, I don't know.
I want to show you the end of the last
beautiful.
episode as well because this was basically the second half of a fight. The previous episode was the ninja girl fighting the monster when it was still in human form, and the scene in which the character who you like, the death scene that moved you in this episode, that character's actually being killed scene is this incredibly trippy, weird fucking sequence.
really?
It's like just
Okay.
awesome.
No,
And then-
I definitely want to see that. It wasn't just the death. The whole theme of the villain was like yin and yang, life and
Yes.
death. They're like spewing philosophy as they're killing it about life and death, and
Yeah.
then Yeah, I don't know. It's so beautiful. Them.
How the powers work in this is also very entangled with yin and yang. They explain it like in the last episode, I think, where this guy starts fighting, or the big monster starts fighting them because he's interested in the ninja girl because she has the yin energy to his yang or something like that, and so he wants to train her to get better at Tao. I don't know.
Train her as in use her as a human experiment is what he wants to do
Yeah.
with the villain. But yeah, so the villains in this, the Tencent, this monster before it transformed could freely transform between male and female because it has both yin and yang energies, which are normally gender
Wow.
segmented. Bird literally attributed this show to part of coming out as gender fluid.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Honestly, that episode kind of made me want to watch like more of the show. That's the only thing I've watched with you guys that made me want to do that.
It's really good.
Someone in the chat just said, "We love a girl who fights with her secretions." That's what the female ninja.
I mean, yeah.
She consumes poison and then can metabolize it into like a slime that she can use as like whips and stuff.
So, this episode, again, as I described it, opens, Blind Samurai shows up, saves the characters who were fighting in the last one. It's an incredibly fucking badass scene because he shows up and he's just like, I've been training, fighting these fucking monsters in the woods. I have figured out how to defeat them. Now you, an immortal, shall learn what death means. And then he just starts, like, cutting all the whips around him and shit. And just, fucking just being a badass in general. The cute Islander girl whose name I keep forgetting is there with him.
Fuck, what is her name? She hasn't gotten
It's
a
a
lot of
weird
screen
name.
time.
It's like a very uncommon name, but here she is
Oh
hugging
my
the other
gosh.
girls.
Real quick, Landon is in the chat. Butthole
Hey,
Weeb.
shout out
I'm
Butthole Weeb.
How do you feel about another Kenshin anime coming out? Real quick.
Well, we'll get into
Okay.
that. We can't do that in the middle of this.
Okay, fine. Hi, Landon. Thanks for being here.
So, yeah, she starts hugging the other girls, and they're just kind of like, "What are you doing?" Because basically they're too weak to go back and fight. I mean, Shiori, that's her name, right? She wants to go back in.
Sagiri.
Sagiri. Why did I? Whatever. Sagiri wants to go back into the fight, and she's like, "Don't do that. You're all fucking beat up." And Yuzuri has like, "I'm not fucking getting up.
She literally just sits down
I'm
and
done."
Yeah. The short girl's name is Nurugai.
Nurugai is it's a very strange name. I've never heard that one. Nurugai is like trying to basically, in her experience growing up, when she would hug people, they would become re-energized, and we learned it seems to be some sort of Tao transfer,
Which is adorable.
It works to give them enough energy to start concocting how they're going to help in this fight, because like Blind Guy, as much as he's kicking ass at first, he gets like embedded with all these
He gets
like,
scratched
flowers
because
Yeah.
the big monster has a bunch of like rose needles shooting out of it at any given time, and he gets a bunch of scratches, and then flowers grow out of it.
Yeah, it's probably the show trying not to be too cheesy by it not just being a literal hug, but like it's so cute. Like
It is.
It's so perfect.
It really feels in the moment like she's just like, I'm gonna hug you strong.
It was
You
pretty
know?
cute.
Honestly, like
When her character has been like that the whole time too, because when he's dead now, but the blonde guy, like she was just constantly like trying to get him in a better headspace by like teasing him and saying they were going to get
Yeah.
married and stuff like that. It was cute.
She's a good one. I like her a lot. I actually like all the women in this show a whole lot, and this show has a lot of feminist themes to it as well.
Is it really necessary to lick it?
the-
No.
an actual funny joke in an anime.
And yet, so in the previous episode, I was saying that I think Yuzuriha is gay for Sagiri because she pretty much only ever uses and abuses men, and even though like she gives Senta, who is just in love with her, and she obviously knows this, she gives him like a nice send off at the end of this episode, but she had just been blowing him off and treating him like
Using him
shit.
as a literal human shield.
Yeah, up until that point. But like with Sagiri, she's super nice and obviously wants to help, and is like in this scene she is using her secretions, like she's covering her in her secretions and she's licking her, and she says, is it necessary to lick it? And she's like, no. So yeah, I definitely think they're building a Yuri thing.
But so basically
here.
what's happening here, aside from the licking, the point of the licking is they're wrapping themselves in bandages and then using some kind of her secretion, some kind of medicine, I assume, so that they don't get nicked by the dangerous flowers and turn into flowers themselves.
And they're basically going to be like a distraction, I think.
Yeah.
So that...
Well, I think because Sagiri also has Sagiri and Shion, the blind man, have the opposite Tao to the big monster, and so they are the people who can actually hurt him and stop him and stop them from regenerating. Sagiri sees that Shion is like literally dying, and maybe not literally dying, but going on a big monologue about how he is ready to die no matter what, and he's just gonna fucking kick ass until he does. And she's like, I'm not letting him die. I like that guy. He's not gonna die. And then she jumps in, and Shion is at first like, "Fuck off! What are you doing? Go away! You're not. You're." It's kind of the repeat of like a couple episodes ago of everyone going, "You're in my way. No, you're in my way. No, you're in my way."
It is one of my favorite anime tropes because, like, I don't know, if two people are constantly trying to be as noble as possible, then they're always going to be like sacrificing themselves from one another and trying to prevent the other from sacrificing themselves from them. It's just a fun trope. What was it? Shiryuki Hime did that a lot in its main relationship. Anyway, the silver-haired dude does this fucking badass maneuver where he dodges some vines.
I hope you got a screen cap of what the villain looked like, because it was one of the coolest villains I've ever seen.
We had that in the previous episode.
Oh my god.
That's why I didn't include it here. But here's them getting fucking murked.
I really like that blind guy just kind of shows up and immediately knows how all of the power scaling works because he's blind, I guess.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, he's like a master swordsman, and basically as soon as Tao is explained to him, he spent the last, like, in the background of the last 2 episodes.
When was
just
Tao
training
explained to
all this
him?
shit.
I don't think it was, because him and Islander Girl have just kind of been...
it's he explained it to her because that's how he sees.
Yes.
He sees through Tao. So
That's
he
what it
just
is.
already innately understands it because it's the only way he can see.
This is some of the prettiest animation I've ever seen, all of this fight. But
Yeah.
specifically, it's really funny because Shion...
They show this exact cut twice in the episode.
Yeah.
Because it's so cool.
Shion's just kind of like running around trying to kick this thing's ass and just constantly like dropping attack move names and doing the most insane like thousands of cuts at once. And it's not really doing much, honestly. Until Sagiri shows up and starts helping. Also, something interesting that we learned. Last episode, Senta had gotten like flowered, and they just kind of cut the flower.
He's not dead.
Yeah, he's not dead.
We've mentioned a couple times that there's like a death scene in this episode, and it's Senta because even though he had what seemed by all rights like a death scene at the end of the last episode, they have like a medicine that prolongs his life just long enough for him to tell silver-haired man, hey, I know you're trying to attack what you think is the weak point, but it's actually this other spot. I know because
it's a flower. He's a flower instead of a person. Real quick, Amy in the chat said, not sure if I said this already or if you know it, but the author for Jigokuraku was Tatsuki Fujimoto's assistant in Fire Punch, which has a trans man as one of the main characters. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that about Fire Punch either. I hope they make an anime out of that.
I'm also looking that up to see. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's interesting. Huh.
I'm still wondering.
Fire Punch Soul Eater? Is that the same guy?
Chainsaw Man.
Okay.
That's what he did before Chainsaw
Is
Man.
Fire Force the Soul Eater thing?
Yes,
Okay.
that's Fire Force. I don't know too much about Fire Punch other than it's apparently quite good, but it's only like 5 volumes, I think.
Yeah, I'll check that out. That seems fun.
8, I don't know. It's it's what Fujimoto did before. I believe the Spy Family author was also an assistant to Fujimoto on that manga.
That's a show I'd like to catch up on before it gets to season 2. That was cute.
I think it might have already had a season 2. I'm not sure.
It was pretty well beloved.
All right, so after Silverhair kills the demon, there's this really awesome moment where like it's like thing opens up and it's just like full of heads, and they look up and one of them looks at him and just says, "Wow,
thanks.
You're fucking amazing. I could never attain such a perfect yin-yang. I can't believe how awesome you are. I've waited 1,000 years for someone to be able to fucking kill me. Thank you." And then
he dies and turns into roses.
Rose petals, and it's just absolutely gorgeous scene, just visually fucking resplendent. This show's had a lot of amazing visuals. The background art's always really incredible, which is such a rarity in anime nowadays that any show with good backgrounds almost automatically I will watch it. Like this and Heavenly Delusion, you'll notice that my two favorite anime this season are the ones with the fucking background art. Most unfortunately missing thing from Mashal, although when we get to that I'll bring up something you said.
Okay,
Quinn,
so
that,
this is really cute.
I thought was really
I don't think we've ever seen Yuzuriha be
Well
like
put.
nice before, really. I mean, or I don't mean nice, because she's been kind of nice, but I mean sweet, I
only
guess.
to Sagiri.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, like she treated Kenta like shit up until his death. Senta. And in this scene, yeah, it was just surprisingly pleasant because they're trying to save him, and she's like, "Look, you're not gonna be able to save him. He's dead.
Well,
he knows he's dead. I'm just gonna like comfort him and send him off." And like she tells him to think about everything that he loves and his family. And
yeah,
everything.
I want to rant about this because she has medicine, but she, instead of giving it to him, she takes it for himself. So it's almost selfish. Like, I'm choosing myself over him.
What it is that she has one dose of the medicine left, and she can either use half of it on blind guy and then save half of it for herself, or just, I don't know, not have it anymore. And she is very selfish. That is like one of her main character traits for sure.
It's also what Senta loves about her.
It's fair that she is selfish and preserves herself over him, but also it's like, I don't know, and she also takes it on herself to guide him through death. And it's not that it just works for the show, but I think the way she guides him through death would almost work in real life. Like, she brings him into the moment. She has him forget suffering, and then she has him focus on positive, like, loving memories. And, like, I've just never seen someone guide someone to death before, and it was very moving.
And
I watched a lot of Ghost Whisperer as a child, so I've seen a lot of death guidance. Anyway, this scene is really interesting because when she's explaining why she's going to use the medicine not on Senta, she basically goes, as a shinobi, we had to learn the difference between pain that is just suffering and should be, gone. I'm probably butchering this. Or pain, or like pain that's suffering, or pain that needs to end is basically what she says. And she points to blind guy and goes, "That's just suffering. He'll be fine." And then she points to Senta and is like, "He's fucked."
Right.
I could use some death guidance.
Me too. Honestly, mommy.
I think what made this scene click for me too is that like Yuzuriha, she's always been kind of like a cold, conniving cunt, but also like in this episode there's a lot of stuff that's just the result of she's a shinobi. She's like a trained from childhood, like
She's a train from childhood? Choo choo.
Like her whole life has been spent like seeing death and this kind of stuff, and so like I guess this is something she's uniquely capable of, is like the fact that someone that she does care about is dying, like, doesn't faze her to such an extent that her way of expressing care is, like you said, like guiding him through death. Like it's a weird moment in that it shows that she does care enough to help him die right, but also that she is just like unfazed by the fact that he is dying. Like it's such a specific type of care, and it fits her character really well. Incredibly done scene. What were you trying to do?
I was just wanting to see the names.
Chat.
Yeah.
So then, this scene, basically
They
after
all
all
change
that wraps
clothes,
up,
which is pretty fun.
They go hang out. They have some discussion about how powers work and stuff. But basically, so Gabimaru, our main character,
Dude,
he wakes up in a cave, and there's just like a moment of him being like, "What's going on?" And then it cuts to this conversation where Ninja Girl is like, "Hey, you've been saying that Gabimaru is like a great guy because he's doing everything for his wife. How do you know that this wife even fucking exists?"
or that his clan leader is even actually immortal.
Yeah.
That's also brought into question.
Because she's like, back in my tribe, they just brainwashed us. Like, they just told us whatever. They gave us a bunch of information. They taught us from childhood. Like, there's stuff that we just think because that's what we were taught. Maybe he's just had, like, a fictional woman in his head this whole time. And the show is, immediately makes you suspicious, because I've always been wondering if she was just dead. Like, we've never seen her in present tense. We've only seen her in memories. And then we cut to Gabimaru, and he's on one. Can't fucking remember shit, because he used his Tao too much.
That half of his head is gone in Tao.
From the little girl's perspective, because she can see the Tao, she sees half his head and significant portions of his body's Tao are just missing. And from this scene, we can tell he knows who he is. He knows that he is Gabimaru the Hollow, the assassin, but he can't remember his wife. He can't remember who these people are, and he's just like, I'll play along for now, but this is a very dangerous state, because this is a character who was originally just a
soulless killer.
Yeah, just a soulless killer who spent the whole show being built up into a nice guy, and now he's totally forgotten about that. So
was it really that definitive that that's why he lost his memory? I thought we were...
I mean, it's not really definitive why he lost. The reason why I say it's that is because last episode we saw him really overexert himself, and then she is a Tenzin kind of. She's like a bat. She's not perfect as the Tenzin are,
because
or something.
She can't turn into a man, so she's considered as like a whole to them, basically.
Yeah. But so she can see Tao, and it cuts to her looking at Gabimaru's Tao, and the top half of his head is gone.
Yeah. They had a conversation about how Tao is life, so if you use too much of it, you're basically just using your life.
Yeah, that seems pretty it's guiding.
It could also be because this has been brought up a couple times in the show, a brainwashing thing, because he was and it is literally being brought up right now, but Gabimaru's a couple time just had reflexes that were beaten into him by his boss, so I'm thinking maybe
that's why it's so hard for him to die.
Yeah, once or twice a year, maybe he just reverts to zero.
Oh yeah, maybe that's just a click and it happens thing.
I just super love gaslighting scenes of is this even real? What is happening?
I feel like something else happens. Do you have another screen cap, or is this the last one? Okay. That's Kamikatsu, so go back to... because there is something else that happened. So, at the very end of this, there are two Yamada Asaemon kneeling and learning that the Shogun has sent for more Asaemon to go to the island.
New characters are going to show up.
The one we see, his name is Shugen, and as I know everything that happens, Shugen's really cool. I'm really excited to see him fight. But anyway, sorry if I'm spamming, I'm extremely high.
Yeah, shout out Piano Man, who's really high in the chat. Also shout out P, who gave us $2 and said, love you, Trixie and company, thanks for everything.
Thank you for $2.
Oh, I guess we should give our final thoughts on Hell's Paradise Season 1.
10 out of 10.
I would give it a 9, but, that's a really, really high score.
I think it had, one bad... and I wouldn't even say bad, just, slow episode.
It had a couple parts where it slowed down to do, too much explanation, but all of it paid off. The last 2 episodes were both fucking awesome, just, non-stop action. The first, the first episode is pretty good, especially in retrospect, knowing where the show's gonna go. Episode 3 was incredibly fucking cool, and that was shocking and twisting and turning. All the characters that have stayed alive are really cool. I'm rooting for everybody. I don't know, man. It was way better than I expected it to be every single week. There was maybe one time where it was it was a little slow, but yeah, it's still set up for a bunch of cool shit to happen. I can remember most of the show. So, I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, my final wrap-up thoughts are, 10 out of 10. Watch the last episode. It's really good.
The last episode is a 10 out of 10 episode of anime, for sure. Just by itself is fucking incredible.
Yeah, watch Tired Mommy guide you through death.
Oh, real quick. Yuzuriha refers to Sagiri as Sagirin. What is that? You know why? What that means? Is it just a term of endearment?
Yeah,
okay.
Just trying to give her a nickname.
Solid 8 to me. Yeah, it's probably 8 out of 10, sure.
8 is a very reasonable score. I would have given it that but the last episode was literally good enough that I bumped it up to a 9. It was just, I've never seen such a cool, him killing the monster was one of the coolest death scenes in anime of just
killing the monster, the flowers going everywhere, the heads erupting from the flowers. Oh, it's so beautiful.
And then the death scene, like, again, the scene of Senta being killed in the previous episode was already incredibly captivating, and then to end that with something so emotionally striking, like following that up in the next episode, I wasn't expecting that at all.
People are getting too hung up on ratings. Nothing is
They
real.
always do.
Nothing is real. If something makes you think about death, then it's good.
Yeah, that's true.